Lian unlocks her phone with a complex pattern, but the police station is the least of her concerns. The real power plays are unfolding in Jiangjing's elite circles. Leave a like and subscribe to witness the final rise. Chen Hong took out his phone and handed it to Xu Wenyao. "Quick, help me take a photo with Building 1. After they finished taking the photo, Chen Hong sighed in relief. Just listening to He Wen and Bai Lian's conversation, he was already sweating for the new students this year. Speaking of which, Chen Hong remembered something. He patted Xu Wenyao on the shoulder. "Old Xu, you actually dared to talk to Senior He Wen. I don't even dare to look him in the eyes. I'm afraid he'd think I'm stupid." Xu Wenyao didn't respond to him this time, just picked up his phone and glanced at it. Bai Lian had posted 2 papers in the group. They had to calculate mirror distances. "To the computer lab." Xu Wenyao turned around. They were running out of time. Shanghai apartment. Pu Xiaohan got up at 2 in the morning to drink water, and when she looked up, there was still light shining through the crack in Bai Lian's study room door. Leaning on the table, she finished her cup of water. There seemed to be talking coming from the study. After she had her water, she quietly went back to the guest room. The phone on the nightstand was still lit up, and the Class 15 group chat still had a bunch of people awake. Wang Qi was tagging the sports committee, complaining about his lousy support play. After the college entrance exam, the students in the class had collectively slacked off for a few days, then became active again. Zhang Shai's was given a reduced sentence for good behavior, and he would be released in mid-September. Wang Qi claimed he wanted to get his technique down before his release. The next day, early morning, 5 o'clock, under Building 11 of Shanghai apartment, a minivan stopped, and 2 men got out. After checking their phones one more time to confirm they were correct, they carried wooden boxes into the building. In front of apartment 301, the leading middle-aged man stood up straight and pressed the doorbell respectfully. With just one ring, someone opened the door. It was an extremely cold-faced man, his eyes like frosty stars. The middle-aged man didn't dare meet his gaze, only bowed respectfully. "Good morning, Mr. Ming." Ming Dingheng gestured with his hand. "Give it to me." The middle-aged man immediately handed over the food box he was holding. Ming Dingheng took the food box inside. The layout of apartment 301 was similar to that of 303, but the living room was a bit larger. He checked the time on his phone, then opened the food box and arranged the delicate pastries one by one. Bai Lian left her apartment at 5:10 in the morning. Ming Dingheng was waiting for her at the door. "This early?" As Bai Lian walked in, she saw the breakfast laid out on the table. She casually placed her computer on the bar by the entrance and started eating breakfast at the table. The breakfast on the table was exquisitely served. She picked up a soup dumpling and bit into it, smooth and juicy, with a hearty filling. The crystal shrimp dumplings looked equally tempting as the shrimp inside was visible. Bai Lian usually didn't talk much while eating. She just quietly ate. Despite being quite casual, she also exuded a respectable demeanor. Ming Dingheng noticed she only ate the crystal shrimp dumplings and soup buns because Bai Lian was from Baikeng, and her breakfast preference was usually for Baikeng flavors. Yet he didn't expect she'd also enjoy breakfast from Jiangyin. He was somewhat surprised but noted these preferences. Ming Dingheng knew she was working on a mathematical model and had 2 other teammates, so he took out a paper bag from the box, packed 2 breakfasts for Bai Lian to bring to them. The rest of the breakfast was left for Xiaohan and Jiangyin. The computer lab at Jiang University hadn't closed for the past 2 nights. When Bai Lian arrived, most of the seats in the lab were occupied. They were all students who hadn't gone back for the night and were sleeping there. Some of them had woken up, some were still taking short naps. Xu Wenyao and Chen Hong were also dozing off at their usual spots. Bai Lian didn't call them, but placed the breakfasts she brought for them at the edge of her own desk. She had only made a slight movement when Xu Wenyao and Chen Hong woke up. Bai Lian placed her laptop on the table, and seeing them awake, she lifted her chin and pointed to the breakfast on the table. They went a wash up at the restroom at the end of the corridor before coming back. "This is so delicious." Chen Hong bit into a pancake roll and felt instantly revitalized. In the front, a student who had just awoken smelled the breakfast and came over, curiously asking Chen Hong, Chen Hong, where did you buy this breakfast from? Chen Hong glanced at him, shook his head, and then looked at Bai Lian beside him. I don't know. Bai Lian had already opened her laptop and was taking out a pen along with a stack of draft paper. I didn't buy it. Chen Hong looked down at the paper bag. Only a butterfly-shaped logo was on the bag, no restaurant name written. He had never seen this butterfly mark before. Xu Wenyao was having his breakfast. Overhearing their conversation, he too glanced at the bag holding the breakfast, recognizing the distinct butterfly logo. It was Kangyu Tower. Three Jiangjing's old-time eateries only serve a limited number of breakfast items on a first-come, first-serve basis every day, without the options for takeout or delivery. He had gone there with Pu Xiaohan twice before, but never managed to taste their very famous crab roe soup dumplings. Now, they've surprisingly started to branch out into new business and begin delivery. Junior, why did you bring your own laptop? Chen Hong opened the software to help Xu Wenyao verify regression results. The school's computers are high-end Jiangyin models, much better than our personal ones. Only the computers in the lab can run MAT software. This is the most commonly used software for modeling, capable of drawing many types of charts. The software isn't domestic and isn't open to the public. According to international agreements, only Jiangyin University's computer labs have the permission to use it, which is why modeling students are practically glued to the labs. There are cracked versions outside, but they don't have all the features. All the students from Jiangjing's School of Engineering and Chemistry know this. Jiangjing has always had the most complete and high-end facilities, which is why so many people are desperate to get into this school. Chen Hong turned his head and just happened to see the blue and red logo of the MAT software on Bai Lian's laptop. A cracked version. Bai Lian didn't stay overnight in the school's computer lab. She left at 10 o'clock. Jiang Fuelai's car wasn't parked under the computer science building, but at a less crowded intersection. Today, he drove a silver sedan she had never seen before. She got into the passenger seat, placed her computer casually on her lap, and buckled herself in. Jiang Fuelai's hand rested lazily on the steering wheel, his slender fingers tapping rhythmically. With his other hand, he switched off his Bluetooth headset. He didn't start the car. He was dressed in a white shirt, the cuffs casually rolled up to reveal a watch around his wrist. His side profile appeared even more aloof. Bai Lian hesitated, then chose her words carefully. What's wrong? You chose he went to be the advising teacher. Jiang Fuelai spoke solemnly, tilting his gaze slightly as his long eyelashes curled down, hiding those pale eyes underneath. The face that usually kept others at arm's length now seemed somewhat accusatory. Bai Lian's hand that was pulling out draft paper paused. Seeking He Wen was because she had communicated with him many times about the model and had worked together with him before. Xu Wenyao and Chen Hong were about to graduate from their senior year, and Bai Lian could hardly imagine what expression she would have to wear when Xu Wenyao was being scolded by Jiang Fuelai in front of her, especially since Xu Wenyao had always treated her like an elder. What was most important was, even if Jiang Fuelai hadn't said it, Bai Lian knew his influence here was definitely not small. When her name first appeared in He Wen's papers, it caused quite a stir. If the name of Jiang Fuelai appeared on a mathematical modeling competition, Bai Lian could not quite dare to envision the scene. Her hand pressed on the draft paper, but her mind was racing. The small-scale modeling competition was a bit of an underuse for you, but He Wen was just right. Jiang Fuelai averted his eyes, grudgingly accepting the explanation. Have you encountered any problems? He started the car. No, with the crisis seemingly averted, Bai Lian leaned back, but Chen Hong said the MAT software can only be used in the school lab. Jiang Fuelai said offhandedly, that's the theory. And in practice? At the red light, Jiang Fuelai slowed down the car to a stop and remained silent, simply raising an eyebrow. He had been using it for quite a while. The lab at home, his apartment in Xiancheng, he had installed it everywhere. Who among those people in overseas labs would dare to make a peep? Time swiftly passed. July 13th, 11 o'clock at night. In these 3 days, Bai Lian and the other 3 members of the Xu Wenyao team had only slept less than 6 hours. This session's problem A was difficult, and with not many people choosing it, They were pressed for time to finish the model and gather the last reception ratio. Afterwards, they only had 2 hours left to rush the coding. After submission, they would have to wait 2 months for the evaluation. "We too can handle these," Chen Hong was typing as he said this. During these 2 days, he had been helping Bai Lian with calculations while writing the paper. "Junior, you go and rest. You've worked hard these 3 days." Chen Hong and Xu Wenyao were juniors, and they had plenty of experience writing papers during this period. Glancing through the summary, Chen Hong was writing at lightning speed. Bai Lian found it much better than what Wang Xu had written before. It was barely acceptable, and she had no energy to help them polish it. So she didn't decline. "Okay." Xu Wenyao was verifying the last reception ratio. Looking up and seeing Bai Lian pick up her laptop, he remembered something. "Will you go back for dinner the day after tomorrow?" Su Zhiyu's celebration dinner was tomorrow. Before knowing that Bai Lian had ranked first, the elderly lady had been delighted about Su Zhiyu's high score. She had specially arranged a banquet for July 15 to entertain the Su family and some relatives and friends. She even wanted to throw a large banquet for Bai Lian, which Bai Lian had declined. Su En was also against grandmother, Su throwing a big celebration for Su Zhiyu, considering Su Zhiyu's shy personality. But the old lady of the Yu family had been too showy in the last couple of years. Grandmother Su couldn't swallow her pride and had been rushing for quick success. Bai Lian took out her phone and looked down at it. "Su Zhiyu. Come, Su Zhiyu. Shy, Su Zhiyu. Spinning.jpg, Su Zhiyu. Spinning.jpg, Su Zhiyu. Bai Lian, stop." The screen scrolling came to an abrupt halt. Bai Lian packed away her computer into her canvas bag, pulled out her chair and stood up. "I'll see how it goes." 7.15. In the afternoon, at Shanghai apartment. Uncle Lin and Gao Yan were both at Bai Lian's place. Gao Yan sat at the edge of the table, talking with Bai Lian and Pu Xiaohan. "Jiangyin Media University, that's a really good school," said Gao Yan, quite surprised upon hearing Pu Xiaohan's chosen school, remembering it was Bai Lian's alma mater. Bai Lian was from Xiancheng. It was one thing her own academic performance was excellent, but how come her classmates were also so impressive? Pu Xiaohan, with nearly 50 million online followers, just smiled modestly at Gao Yan's remark and poured her a cup of tea. Bai Lian sat beside Pu Xiaohan, looking slightly ragged due to lack of rest in the past few days. Today, she managed to get out of bed not long ago. She was idly writing a reduced musical score on a piece of paper. The fingerprint lock outside beeped, signaling someone coming in. Gao Yan, Uncle Lin, and the others all looked up. The man at the door was Jiang Fulai, dressed in a silvery silk shirt with traditional Chinese button knots, making him appear distant and unapproachable. Gao Yan, who had been seated, stood up and greeted him, locking her eyes on Jiang Fulai. Although Jiang Fulai had always been respectful to her, Gao Yan was aware that his regard for her was because she was Gao Si's sister. But she would never grow careless because of Jiang Fulai's respect. Even old Master Su of the Su family would stand to greet Jiang Fulai, let alone her. Uncle Lin stood behind Gao Yan, bowing respectfully to Jiang Fulai. It seemed as though the atmosphere in the entire room stiffened inexplicably with his arrival. Jiang Fulai nodded slightly at her, very politely. "Auntie." Pu Xiaohan had encountered Jiang Fulai more times in Xiancheng than Gao Yan had in her entire life, responding more casually than Uncle Lin and Gao Yan. "Brother Jiang." Upon hearing Pu Xiaohan's address, Uncle Lin and Gao Yan couldn't help but glance her way. A tremor of shock ran through them. In Jiangjing, the ones who could call Jiang Fulai brother Jiang were just the few like Su Nanjing. Bai Lian was the only one who hadn't stood up. She was casually propped up by one hand under her chin, her sleeve sliding down partially to reveal a bright red ribbon loosely tied around her slender wrist. It made her wrist look extremely pale. After she wrote down a line of text, she lazily looked up. "Go fetch the gift my grandfather prepared." Jai Heng had embroidered a fine handkerchief for Su Zhiyu. Jiang Fulai knew where the item was and went into the study to retrieve the gift box from the second drawer. Uncle Lin, watching Jiang Fulai directly going to fetch the item while Bai Lian remained seated, subtly bowed his head. "Where are you going?" Gao Yan had invited Bai Lian to dine with her classmates, and before she could discuss it, she saw her leaving with Jiang Fulai. "To Mingfeng District." Jiang Fulai opened the door, stepping aside to let Bai Lian go through first. He was going to escort Bai Lian to the Xu family. After they left, Gao Yan lowered her head back and looked at Uncle Lin. "Mingfeng District? What are they doing there?" Mingfeng District was on the outskirts. Neither the Gao family nor the Xu family had much business there, and people were seldomly sent down. They rarely went to that area. Pu Xiaohan, not being close with Gao Yan, did not explain to her. Gao Yan withdrew her gaze, looking down to see the scattered sheets of paper on the table. Some had numbers written on them like 4-5 right, but it was obvious that the handwriting on each piece of paper was very neat, stroke by stroke. Gao Yan didn't recognize these. Her gaze shifted to another sheet of paper that was filled with a bunch of formulas and algorithms. Gao Yan, too, was a gifted student, but she had left the laboratory after giving birth to Su Nanjing and couldn't recall what exactly Bai Lian was calculating, only that it seemed to be the least squares method. She felt a bit dazed. Was this something she learned in high school? Gao Yan couldn't remember clearly. Uncle Lin by her side looked at Bai Lian's writing with admiration. "Miss Bai's writing is very beautiful. She must have practiced specially." In Mingfeng District, a well-known villa area. The Xu family. Jiang Fulai's silver car was parked at the entrance, his fingertips resting on the steering wheel, lowering the passenger side window, waiting for Bai Lian to come out. She had sent a message to Su Jiu from the car, and Su Jiu was waiting for her at the iron gate. Today, Su Jiu wore a knee-length dress, her bangs swept aside, her hair styled, revealing a petite face and a pair of shiny dark eyes. When Bai Lian saw her, she was standing by the iron gate with a flushed face, her fingers unconsciously pinching the hem of her dress. She was completely different from the person on WeChat. Bai Lian handed over the box in her hand nonchalantly, a lazy smile in her lowered eyes. "Go back inside." Today, she wore a dress made by Jai Heng, a snow-white cheongsam with a waist belt of the same color, her ink-black hair loosely held by a wooden pin. The sunlight spilled over her fair, jade-like side profile, dimming in comparison to her smile. Su Jiu looked back 3 steps at a time as she walked away. Only after her figure had disappeared did Bai Lian retract her smile, her gaze inadvertently drifting to the left. She turned and got back into the car. Jiang Fulai drove forward. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." Bai Lian leaned back. It was just an unfriendly stare. She opened her cell phone and inquired to Xu Wenyao, "Who have your family invited this time?" As soon as she sent the message, a call came through on her phone from Jai Shaojun. "Uncle?" Bai Lian turned off the Bluetooth and answered. Jai Shaojun was timing his call to coincide with her break time. "Come over for dinner tonight. It's been several days since you last visited, and your aunt has stewed a tonic soup for you. If you don't have time, we can deliver it to you." Jai Heng had heard from Jiangyin that Bai Lian had been staying at school the last few days, hadn't been sleeping well at night, and had nearly rushed to Jiangyin himself. Bai Lian rolled down the window, resting her hand on it, smiling. "I'm going to see Dean Jiangyin in a bit. I'll come see you guys in a few days and stay a bit longer." On the other end of the phone, Jai Shaojun thought for a moment. "All right, I'll deliver the soup to you today." He hung up cheerily. On the sofa, the butler looked towards Jai Shaojun. "Your niece?" "Yes." Jai Shaojun put his phone on the table, stood up, a clear joy on his face. "I'll go deliver the soup to her." The butler knew. Jai Shaojun never referred to Ren Wangshuan as his niece. It was unclear why Jai Shaojun was so favorable towards Bai Lian, but right now, he didn't want to waste Jai Shaojun's time. After pondering for a moment, "Continue your studies with the teacher. I'll deliver it to Miss Bai for you. She's still in Chang'an District, right? It's a long way there and back. I'll save you the trouble." Because Jai Shaojun was talented, the butler had changed the way he addressed Bai Lian. "You," hearing the butler say this, Jai Shaojun paused, seemingly contemplating for a long time before agreeing. "All right, please tell her to take good rest for me." That evening, Zioji parked the car in front of Building 11 of Shanghai apartment. The butler got out of the back seat, and Zioji emerged from the driver's side, eyeing the building number. It should be this place, right? The butler took out his phone, squinted at it for a while, confirmed it was correct, and then the two of them entered together. On the 3rd floor. They had no intention of taking the stairs and waited for the elevator to come down at the elevator lobby. The elevator was descending from the 3rd floor. It opened with a ding, containing only an old man. The butler glanced indifferently, stepping slightly aside to make room. The old man didn't look at them and walked past. As the old man passed him by, the butler suddenly paused, turned to look at the receding figure. "You are Principal Shi." Yuan Shiyu stopped when he heard the voice. He was still wearing his glasses and turned around at the door to look at the butler, unable to remember him. "You are!" The butler's hair was speckled with white, his skin loose and wrinkled, and his pair of eyes cloudy and unfocused, revealing no particular sense of vitality. "Our young master used to be your student." Shiyu didn't remember his own butler, which wasn't a surprise to the butler, his attitude respectful. "I have met you before." Shiyu had encountered numerous students and parents, so naturally, he didn't remember people he had met over a decade ago who were not significant. Upon hearing this, he merely nodded slightly toward the butler, then immediately took a call and left. The butler stood at the elevator for a long time before finally lowering his gaze and entering. "Do you know him?" In the elevator, Zioji curiously looked at the butler. "Yes," the butler responded indifferently, without much interest. "The principal of Jiangyin University." Butler had met Principal Shi. Back when Mu Qiang was still around, Shiyu was the vice principal of Jiangyin and had visited the Mu family. The butler had been with Mu Qiang since she was small and had met Shiyu. There wasn't a tradition of promoting from another location at Jiang University, so after all these years, Principal Shi must have been confirmed in his position. The principal of Jiang University. Zioji regretted not having taken a better look earlier. "How come he is here?" The butler was lost in memories and did not reply. At 303, the door was opened by Pu Xiaohan, who was still holding a black chess piece in her hand. She took the thermos from the butler. "Lian has gone out. Would you like to come in for some tea?" "No need." The butler shook his head, vaguely seeing what seemed to be a boy in the living room. He turned and took Zioji away. When they got on the elevator, Zioji pressed the elevator button and suddenly recalled that principal she had just come down from the 3rd floor, right? Jiangyin Art Building. Bai Xiaoqi was learning in the office with her teacher, who mostly gave one-on-one private lessons. "Xiaoqi." The handsome young man outside came very early today. The girl next to Bai Xiaoqi stood up and whispered in her ear. Bai Xiaoqi turned her head and saw Song Min waiting at the door, wearing a white t-shirt, casually scrolling on his phone with downcast eyes. He was always aloof and rarely spoke. Especially recently, his gaze seemed colder, making him even more unapproachable. And his interactions with Bai Xiaoqi had become even less frequent. It had only been a couple of days since Song Min arrived in Jiangyin. He had a driver's license, so Mrs. Song let him come to pick her up. Bai Xiaoqi and the girl left the room, and the three of them entered the elevator together. Many Jiangyin students had gone abroad for study during summer vacation, so the art building was empty. The elevator had only them. As the doors closed, Bai Xiaoqi, standing by the door, pressed for the 1st floor. The art building had 7 floors, and they were on the 6th floor. Her glance fell on the middle button for the 3rd floor, which sported a forbidden sign, making her wonder. "Oh, that," the girl next to Bai Xiaoqi answered with a smile. "The 3rd and 4th floors are recording studios. The 3rd floor's studio must be used by some big shot. Usually, you can't go in there during such times. How I wish I could go in and record on my own someday." The girl's voice was filled with longing. Jiangyin boasted the best recording studios in all of Asia and was also well known internationally. Not to mention domestically, a bunch of people from overseas came to Jiangyin for these studios. Both Bai Xiaoqi and Song Min glanced at the 3rd floor, which was marked with no entry. 3rd floor, recording studio. Dean Jian's right hand played 4 notes all on one string to the right, the melody flowing naturally like echoes from a distant mountain. Bai Lian stood beside him, slowly and meticulously fitting her tortoiseshell artificial nails on her fingers while bowing her head. After playing that segment, Dean Jian stood up and moved aside. It's roughly this tune. Try it for yourself. Bai Lian sat down, lifted her hands, and replicated the segment Dean Jiangyin had just adjusted. As she raised her arm, her strength flowed to her fingertips. Although it was the same tone, it always sounded more resonant when she played. Dean Jiangyin retreated next door, listening to the playback recorded by the staff. Dean Jiangyin, is this your disciple? The recording engineer hadn't seen Dean Jiangyan's students before and was just amazed at Bai Lian's musical ear. Why haven't I heard of her previously? There were many who studied the guzheng at the school. Naturally, the most outstanding was Dean Jiangyin, and next were his 3 disciples. Leng Xiu was the only female among them and was quite famous in Jiangyin. Naturally, the recording engineer thought of her. Upon hearing this, Dean Jiangyin looked up at the girl still working the guzheng in the footage. Bai Lian had always said she wasn't as good at playing the guzheng as her teacher or her mysterious senior sister. With her already profound musical sense, who exactly were the other 2? He had scoured the guzheng players and hadn't found a teacher from the same faction as Bai Lian. It's not her. Xiu's sense of music isn't as good as hers, Dean Jiangyin replied to him. Such a musical sense is a real pity not to be involved in music. How big is the likelihood of snatching her from Jiang University? Dean Jiangyin pondered this at the bottom of his heart. Meanwhile, the recording engineer was surprised. If it wasn't Leng Xiu, then who was this girl? He watched through the camera as Bai Lian gently placed her hands on the strings and looked up to speak with the man beside her. The boy was dressed in a crisp white shirt and seemed to have felt the gaze as he glanced indifferently towards the camera. The recording engineer immediately lowered his head as his gaze met those pale, faint eyes. After listening to all the recordings, Dean Jiangyin said, "It's about there, Teacher Zhao. Thank you for your hard work." With headphones on, the recording engineer enjoyed a feast for the ears in the top-notch recording studio combined with Bai Lian's and Dean Jiangyan's collaboration. "Miss Bai," the recording engineer said after listening to the recording. As Bai Lian was taking off her artificial nails, braving Jiang Fulai's chilly aura, he took out his phone to add Bai Lian on WeChat. "If you want to record anything in the future, just come directly to me." Bai Lian took out her phone and allowed him to scan the QR code. Soon, she received an ad request notification, Zhao Jiangxin. Bai Lian accepted it. Only after Bai Lian and the other 2 left did Zhao Jiangxin finally breathe a sigh of relief, looking at the tall and cool silhouette beside Bai Lian. After they left, a staff member approached Zhao Jiangxin. "Mr. Zhao, the principal is still waiting for you." "Yeah." Zhao Jiangxin packed up his things to leave. "Your school's equipment is really good. When can you lend it to our music station to use?" Around 8 in the evening. Dean Jiangyin led Bai Lian and Jiang Fulai through Pomegranate Grove to an octagonal 2-story loft to the south, surrounded by a circular colonnade. By this time, the sky had darkened, and the streetlights on either side were on. The security guard in the booth at the front of the small building stood up quickly when he saw Dean Jiangyin. "Dean Jiangyin." "Open the door," Dean Jiangyin said, looking at the wooden door that were shut, his hands hanging by his sides. "We're here to pay respects to our ancestors." The guard had already taken out an old-fashioned long key to unlock the door. Dean Jiangyin led the way up the steps inside. As he set foot on the porch, he noticed that the others hadn't followed and turned around at the door to look at Bai Lian. "Not coming in?" "Yeah." Bai Lian snapped back to reality and stepped up the stairs. Jiang Fulai stayed outside, merely looking up at the loft without entering. The loft wasn't large, and entering it one could see a spirit tablet set up for offering incense to the deity statue. Behind the statue was a staircase. Bai Lian took the incense that Dean Jiangyin handed her, lit it, and stood in front of the spirit tablet. Her gaze became slightly vacant, touching upon the numbers on Qin Jiu's tablet. Qin Jiu had passed away in peace. It seems Jiang Yi hadn't mistreated him. Compared to Bai Lian, Dean Jiangyin was extremely respectful. From the moment he stepped into the loft, his expression was solemn, and he bowed 3 times before inserting the incense. Qin Jiu is the belief of Jiangyin's zither masters and disciples. Whether for exams or work changes, these people would come to pay respects to the ancestor. With the zither, this huge sect, Qin Jiu occupied half of the territory. After he finished offering incense, he noticed Bai Lian was still fixedly looking at the tablet without moving. Her dark eyes were cast upon the tablet, but her gaze seemed a bit distracted. Several minutes later, Bai Lian came back to her senses and inserted the partially burned incense into place. Shanghai apartment. In 303, when Jiang Fulai and Bai Lian returned, Pu Xiaohan and Jiangyin were playing Go in the living room. Jiangyin was sitting cross-legged on the carpet, holding a white stone across from Pu Xiaohan. Seeing Pu Xiaohan place a stone, he unthinkingly placed his white stone on a spot. Wait! Pu Xiaohan picked up the white stone he had just placed and returned it to him, also retrieving her own black stone. Birdie, give me another chance. I placed it wrong just now. She put her black stone where Jiangyin had just placed his. Jiangyin, no one touched the piece of paper Bai Lian left on the table. Pu Xiaohan couldn't understand any of it. In 303, except for Jiang Fulai, no one dared to tidy up Bai Lian's stuff, fearing they might carelessly lose her important data. Right, Pu Xiaohan retracted another stone, then looked up at Bai Lian. Previously, Principal, she came looking for you, and also an elderly person delivered soup for you. She pointed to the thermos on the table. Bai Lian was aware, but she wondered what principal she wanted with her. Shen Yu replied quickly. The dean of the Chinese department is looking for you. When can you come to the university? He waited for you all afternoon today and has an academic conference tomorrow. He'll return the day after tomorrow. Bai Lian didn't understand why someone from the Department of Chinese Language and Literature was looking for her. I'm going to my uncle's the day after tomorrow. Shen Yu felt gloomy on the other end. How could it be the uncle again? Let's meet up another time then. She happened to see Xu Wenyao's message, which he replied to the group that went to the Xu family today. Aside from them, there were also people from the Yu family. The Yu family. Bai Lian tapped her fingertips on the screen, thoughtfully pondering the uncomfortable gaze she felt at the door that afternoon, wondering who it was. Next to her, Jiang Fulai glanced at the thermos and sent a message to Ming Dingheng to take it back to room 300 and one to reheat. Oh no, Pu Xiaohan stood up, having been tormented by Jiangyin all night. Lian, you must avenge me. Bai Lian raised her eyebrows. She casually crossed her legs and sat down. Her pale fingertips picked up a black ghost stone, and she gave Jiangyin a nonchalant glance. With that look, Jiangyin knew he was in trouble. Pu Xiaohan was beside Bai Lian, massaging her shoulders. Go Lian! 1 minute later. The black stones lost. The black stones lost. The black stones lost again. Pu Xiaohan hammered her back even more vigorously. Lian is so powerful. Jiangyin. He couldn't help it and looked up at Jiang Fulai, who was sitting off to the side with his legs crossed, watching the excitement. Jiang Fulai was holding a teacup, gently blowing on the tea foam before taking a sip, then glanced at Jiangyin slowly and indifferently with an air of laziness and nobility. But Jiangyin saw clearly the undisguised mockery in his eyes. Not only did he not help, but he also ridiculed him. On the 17th, Bai Lian went to Jai Shaojun's home. You haven't lost weight. Shen Qing bought a bunch of groceries and kept them at home. As soon as Bai Lian arrived, she examined her from head to toe, nodding, You also look well. This physical condition clearly surpasses Tang Ming and Ning Xiao by a great deal. Those two guys couldn't handle a single all-nighter at Boyuan before. Shen Qing was relieved. Bai Lian stayed here for one night and didn't leave the next day either. Afternoon. Xiaoji brought Jai Shaojun back. After getting out of the car, Jai Shaojun looked at the butler inside. Would you like to come up for a meal? Alien came yesterday. He and Shen Qing usually eat quite casually, but when Bai Lian came, both of them became excellent chefs. No, I'll just go up for a visit. The butler's face was full of exhaustion. Whenever he met Principal Shi, he inevitably remembered Master Mu Qiang. The butler had been assigned to him since Mu Qiang was born. After Mu Qiang passed away, the old Mr. Mu was deeply affected, and the butler was no less so. You should get ready for the banquet at the end of the month. The butler got out of the car and walked with Jai Shaojun toward the elevator. The young miss will take you. Jai Shaojun had only met Mu Yining a few times. The two of them talked all the way up about company and banquet matters until Jai Shaojun opened the door. It was then that the butler stopped. Inside the apartment, Bai Lian was sitting on the couch. She was dressed in casual clothing, her eyes slightly downcast, playing with her phone and swiping through the Jiangyin app problems. When she saw Jai Shaojun return, she lazily greeted him. Then she continued calmly tapping through the questions. A WeChat message flashed across her phone's banner. Su Jiu. As 5 Slock, Bai Lian didn't understand and clicked to take a look. The other side didn't reply, and just as she was about to, her phone rang. It was Principal Xi's call. Next to her, the butler was still chatting with Jai Shaojun. The butler glanced at Bai Lian, and seeing that she was going to the balcony to answer the call, he didn't ask more. The dean of the Chinese department has some free time to come back. Are you home? In order to avoid missing Bai Lian again, Shen Yu had learned to call Bai Lian in advance. Uncle's place. Bai Lian rested her hand on the balcony railing, concise and to the point. On the other end of the phone, Shen Yu paused, looking at the people in his office. Do you have time to come to the school? Bai Lian tapped her fingers on the railing, pondering for a moment. Then I'll head back to school first. Great. Shen Yu was very excited. Bai Lian hung up the phone, pushed open the balcony door to come out, and bid farewell to Jai Shaojun. Leaving now? Hearing Bai Lian was about to leave, Jai Shaojun quickly stood up. It was rather abrupt. Yes, Bai Lian bowed slightly, picked up a book from the side, stood up and said softly, Something came up, and Xiaohan is also still at my place. The butler held his teacup and glanced at the book. It was just 2 basic music theory books, and with disinterest, he retracted his gaze and took a sip of tea. With that sip, the butler paused involuntarily. He naturally could tell the quality of the tea, and Jai Shaojun didn't care much for tea. The tea he had previously at Jai Shaojun's place was common market fare. This tea seemed a bit like the one he had tasted before at Jai Heng's, and the butler found it strange. Jai Shaojun knew Xiaohan was staying with Bai Lian. You even bring her with you for meals. Her parents visit your grandfather every week. He escorted Bai Lian out. Xiaoji also stood up, taking his car keys. Miss Bai, where are you going? Let me drive you. No need, Bai Lian said with her books in hand, unhurriedly. I'll take the bus. She always had a strong sense of boundaries. After Bai Lian left, the butler turned to look at Jai Shaojun. Xiaohan? Alien's classmate. Jai Shaojun mentioned Pu Xiaohan and smiled. Bai Lian's classmate. The butler nodded, not asking further, only looked at Jai Shaojun. He was also considered a hope for the Mu family, right? At the bus stop, Bai Lian looked down waiting for the bus while reviewing questions. There was another message on WeChat, this time from He Wen. The whole group failed to write, getting scolded by everyone. .jpg. Not a day without being yelled at. .jpg. Moldy mushroom. .jpg. Bai Lian knew at a glance that he must have been scolded again. Bai Jiangyin, use your brain. She closed the chat window, and a message from Su Jiu popped up, RTBP, QW/BVSM Klops Udeodx. Like random characters sent by rolling one's face over the phone, Bai Lian paused. Where are you? This time, the reply was straightforward. Su Jiu. Location, Su Jiu. Room 207. Bai Lian clicked in to see. It was a club in Yongxiao district, unknown by name. Su Jiu didn't seem like someone who would go to clubs, and Bai Lian remembered the outfit Su Jiu wore the last time she went to the Su family, which didn't match Su Jiu's taste either. Perhaps because of Jiangyin, Bai Lian had always been friendly with Su Jiu. Bus 71 stopped in front of Bai Lian. Bai Lian looked up, didn't get on, and instead hailed a taxi. In Yongxiao District's Paradise Club, room 207 was not a VIP room. The door was opened by a waiter. Inside, the lighting was dim. A group of young men and women were partying together. Hearing the sound, they turned their gaze to the door, immediately spotting the girl standing behind the waiter. The girl was dressed in a white casual outfit, exceptionally simple and clean, with her hair loosely tied up, revealing a naturally exquisite face. The room was dimly lit, yet the girl seemed to be shrouded in a layer of light, her left arm bending to hold 2 rather thick books, her eyes appearing languid, the reflection in her dark pupils capturing the room's light, exuding an artistic and gentle aura. In this luxurious room, she unexpectedly brought a sense of innocence. It was like a deer had stumbled into a pack of wolves. The room fell silent for a moment. A man in a black vest holding a cigar blew out a cloud of smoke, resting his foot on the coffee table, and whistled at Bai Lian. "You young master, where'd you find this schoolgirl? She looks like she's studying art." The young master that the man referred to was sitting with his back to Bai Lian, his hand on a girl's chin and a drink in the other. Upon hearing this, he let go and stood up to look towards the door. Dressed in a blue shirt with several buttons undone, he exuded a dapper and rakish charm. Seeing Bai Lian, his eyes narrowed, an undeniable determination in his gaze. "Su Zhiyu's sister. Just right, she doesn't drink, so you drink in her place." He extended the drink in his hand towards Bai Lian. Hearing this, the Su Zhiyu beside him hurriedly looked up, her face unnaturally flushed, staggering to her feet. I'll drink." She reached out to grab the wine glass from Mr. Yu's hand. As she looked up, the clearly visible purple bruises on her jaw came into view. Bai Lian's nonchalant expression slowly faded away. "Miss Su, don't rush." Mr. Yu's gaze didn't leave Bai Lian. "If you want a drink, there will be plenty of chances." He passed the wine glass in his hand to Bai Lian. Bai Lian reached out and took it. The others in the private room laughed, not surprised at all. Mr. Yu fixed his gaze on Bai Lian, unbuttoning another button, and licked his lips. "You're much more sensible than your sister." "Don't drink it." Su Zhiyu didn't expect Bai Lian to take the wine. She clutched Bai Lian's arm, her dark eyes filled with terror. "How did you get here?" She tried to grab the wine in Bai Lian's right hand, holding the base of the tall glass, but the glass wouldn't budge. Su Zhiyu blinked in confusion. Bai Lian noticed her mind didn't seem quite clear, and then casually tossed a book with her left hand onto the coffee table. Bending down, she seemed to sniff the fragrance of the wine, and as expected, it was spiked. She looked up, took 2 steps forward, and under the heavy shadow, poured the entire glass of wine over Mr. Yu's head, splashing some on her own hand. She frowned and reached for a tissue. Calmly wiping the back of her hand, she stared at Mr. Yu and coolly asked, "Would you like another drink?" In the private room, no one had anticipated someone would dare to mess with Mr. Yu to such an extent. Mr. Yu wiped the wine off his face, accustomed to being flattered by others. It was the first time he'd been publicly shamed, and his complexion was exceedingly ugly. Good, very good. A few lackeys immediately brought over 3 bottles of wine and tried to help capture Bai Lian, to forcibly pour the liquor into her. They hadn't even touched Bai Lian's collar before she kicked them aside. The loud noise momentarily startled Su Zhiyu into clarity, and she frantically shook her head at Bai Lian, her voice tinged with sobs. "You should go, don't worry about me. This is Yu Hongjing. His sister Yu Hongyi is a favorite of the Chen family. He's Yu Hongyi's only brother." Yu Hongjing wiped his face, fixating his stare on Bai Lian's face. "Now you're scared, eh? I'm telling you, it's no use, get her for me." Before he could finish his sentence, he was kicked over onto the coffee table behind him. Bang! Wine glasses and bottles scattered all over the table. In an instant, Yu Hongjing spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He hadn't expected someone to still dare to attack him after hearing his name. You really are." Yu Hongjing felt his ribs break as he propped himself up with his hands and involuntarily took 2 steps back. Today there was only a wooden hairpin in her hair, which was a bit disheveled from the scuffle. Bai Lian removed the hairpin, leisurely and methodically wrapping her hair up again. Her head bowed slightly, her ink-black hair loosely hanging down, the hem of her white pants now stained with a droplet of Yu Hongjing's blood. Apart from Su Zhiyu, most around her were sprawled chaotically on the ground, and yet there she was, casually redoing her hair in such a place. Those who came here were either rich or noble, guests that regular members couldn't afford to offend, and the moment they sensed trouble, they called the police. The bar was just down the street, where, to prevent incidents, an outpost had been set up. In less than 5 minutes, the sound of police sirens could be heard outside. Yu Hongjing glared at her fiercely, and upon hearing the siren, he staggered to his feet. "It's over, no matter who you are, let me tell you, you're finished." Bai Lian's eyelashes carelessly drooped as she finished arranging her hair, toying with a lighter in her hand, her fingers pressing the lighter, causing a ghostly blue flame to emerge. Jiangyin, someone Su Jiu would call a person of the Chen family. Listening to the sound of the sirens, Bai Lian glanced down at Yu Hongjing. A person of the Chen family, a descendant of Chen Yi. What Chen Yi? Yu Hongjing had completely different associations in mind. He thought Bai Lian was referring to Chen Yi as an honorific. He scoffed. It's no use even if you find Chen Yi. Jiangyin University. Shen Yu sat in his office, and the middle-aged man next to him paced back and forth, glancing at his wristwatch. Principal, she should have arrived by now, right? Having met Bai Lian twice, he knew her as an extremely polite person. Shen Yu looked at the darkening sky and also found it strange. Picking up the microphone on his desk, he said, I'll give her a call. Shen Yu held the receiver in his left hand and dialed a string of numbers directly with his right. Although he had only seen it once, he remembered Bai Lian's number and didn't need to look it up deliberately. The phone rang several times, but no one answered. Beside him, the dean of the Chinese department sat back down, picked up his now-cold tea, and stared at Shen Yu without blinking. The call disconnected automatically. If Bai Lian were in the library, Shen Yu could understand an automatic disconnect due to silence mode, but she had already said she was coming to the university, so he put the receiver back on the cradle. It was a bit strange. Guessing that Bai Lian might be close to arriving, Shen Yu waited for a while before looking up at the dean of the Chinese department. Dean Xu, Bai Lian wants to test into the Tongfeng class. Dean Xu had very short hair and sat there exuding a scholarly elegance that seemed to calm the passage of time. Upon hearing Shen Yu's words, he put down his teacup and said, I know. The dean did not say anything else. Shen Yu had communicated with Bai Lian's homeroom teacher and knew that Bai Lian was an extremely studious and respectful student after interacting with her twice. Speaking with Bai Lian was truly comfortable, with a gentlemanly demeanor and a humility that was self-cultivating. Shen Yu felt that she must have been influenced by great literary figures in her childhood, as this kind of cultural sophistication wasn't possessed by just anyone. However, he also wondered which reclusive literary figure from Xiangcheng was responsible for it. Dean Xu looking for Bai Lian did not surprise Shen Yu. There was only one perfect score essay this year, and he was sure the dean knew who wrote it. Unfortunately, it was Bai Lian who wrote that essay. If it had been any other student with average grades, Dean Xu would have gone out of his way to admit the student to Jiangyin University's Chinese department. Concerned about Bai Lian, Shen Yu reached out to redial her number. This time, after 2 rings, the call was hung up. His usual impassive expression vanished, and he looked down at the phone for several seconds before pressing the redial. Hello, the number you have dialed is now switched off. This time it went straight to voicemail. Shen Yu stood up and put the receiver down. What's wrong? Dean Xu saw his uneasy expression. Her phone has been switched off by someone, Shen Yu said, his face growing dark as he took out his own phone. It had been switched off by someone, not her, in Yunxiao district at the police station. The man in charge of the case turned off the continuously ringing mobile phone, resting his hand on the table. I wouldn't have guessed. You really hit hard. He had already ascertained that this girl was not from Jiangyin and that she had only a single grandparent at home. Bai Lian glanced at him and ignored his comment, just looking at the turned-off mobile phone. The internal line rang, and he stood up to answer it outside. The policewoman who took over came in and sat across from Bai Lian, continuing the interrogation. She looked down at the written record, then raised her head to look at the girl opposite her. Do you have anything to add? Was it really you who hit her? The girl opposite propped her chin with her hand, her black hair meticulously tied up, dressed in snow-white attire, her eyes cold and dark. She didn't seem to be in a good mood. Although both parties had already accused her of the assault, the policewoman still found it hard to believe upon seeing her. Yes, Bai Lian admitted without denial. The policewoman hesitated to speak, but eventually pulled out a piece of paper for Bai Lian to fill out her information. Bai Lian took it, glanced down briefly, and filled in her name, phone number, and Jiangyin address. Her handwriting was neat and beautiful, making the policewoman increasingly feel that she was not the sort to attack someone. After writing everything down, Bai Lian looked up at the nameplate in front of the policewoman. "Officer Sun, how is my friend doing?" "She's been taken to the hospital. Don't worry." Officer Sun was experienced, pausing before continuing. "We're waiting for her follow-up medical report. However, you should try to resolve this peacefully with them." In Jiangyin, Sun had met all sorts of people and understood the situation as soon as she saw Su Jiu. She grasped what kind of scenario this was. Yet she found it incredible to believe the level of force this girl before her was capable of. The interrogation room was bugged, so Officer Sun couldn't reveal too much and only subtly hinted to Bai Lian that the person she had hit was not to be trifled with. In Jiangyin, gold could be found everywhere, and one had to tread carefully not to stumble upon it. Bai Lian's information had been recorded when she was in the police car. Not a local, and it seemed her family wasn't well connected. Faced with the wealthy youths of Jiangyin, Officer Sun felt overwhelmed. "May I have my phone, please?" Bai Lian's gaze fell on the mobile phone next to Officer Sun. The mobile phone was supposed to be confiscated after entering the interrogation room. Officer Sun looked at Bai Lian and hesitated for a moment. "Tell me who to contact, and I'll help you." She pressed the power button to turn on the phone. "Just turned it on, can't use facial unlock. Your phone's password. 183,526,794. Bai Lian tapped the table with her fingertips nonchalantly. Officer Sun paused. She looked down at the screen of the phone again. It was a pattern lock, undoubtedly. "Your phone isn't set up with a numeric password." "Yep, 183,526,794. Bai Lian's sitting posture looked carefree. "Just connect these numbers together." The sequence of numbers was somewhat complex. Officer Sun had to jot them down in the interrogation memo to barely remember them. She took the phone outside and, following the memo, connected the numbers one by one into a pattern. After completing the pattern, she looked at the lock screen and belatedly realized that Bai Lian had used all the numbers. Not only that, none of the connecting lines were parallel. Each one had a different slope. She had probably never seen such a complex pattern before. It took her a moment before she unlocked the phone. Her attention was immediately drawn to the 5 missed calls at the bottom. Upon checking, they were calls from a local Jiangyin landline. She went back and opened WeChat, where there were many messages, the earlier ones from people like the man in the white tank top and He Wen, none of whom she had heard of. She recognized only one name, Yan Lu. However, Officer Sun did not think of Yan Lu as the current hotshot female star. She just assumed it was someone with the same name. She didn't scroll down further, instead following Bai Lian's instructions. She sent 2 ones to the pinned contacts, Grandpa and Teacher Jiang, and finally she sent a message to Principal Shi. Then she turned off the phone. Meanwhile, in a private room at Yunxiao Hotel, the elderly Madame Su held Buddha beads in her hand, smiling towards the old lady opposite her. It's rare for 2 kids to take a liking to each other. Across the table was Madame Yu. Her hair was graying, cut just at ear length, and she was dressed in a black and gold cheongsam, occasionally revealing sharp eyes when she lifted her gaze. Jiu is also a good kid. She looked down, skimming the froth off the tea in her celadon cup with casual elegance. Hongyi is quite fond of her. She casually brought up Yu Hongyi, prompting Madame Su to immediately sit up straight. The Yu family was involved in politics. Yu Hongjing, the wastrel brother, hadn't accomplished anything notable. It was all because of his elder sister, Yu Hongyi. There were many male descendants of high-ranking officials eager to marry Yu Hongyi, but very few who wanted to marry Yu Hongjing. Su Jiu was not the Su family's biological child, but she had been personally raised by Madame Su herself. Most importantly, Madame Yu had met Su Jiu. Her achievements were indeed excellent, and she was quite easy to handle. Both sides tacitly agreed on this union. To receive Miss Yu's appreciation is also Yo Yu's good fortune. Madame Su's smile grew even brighter. She was reluctant to part with Su Jiu, but Bai Lian was someone she dared not touch right now. One cannot catch a wolf without giving up some flesh. This was also one of Madame Su's goals. Their branch of the family had just separated. They lacked the depth of cultural heritage. Su En was only acquainted with an old classmate in the art world. His daughter was a member of the Calligraphy Association. They had heard of a few collectors, but no one was willing to part with their treasures. Collectors already came from notable backgrounds and were not short of money. The Xu family had not yet reached the point where they could command such respect. As the two spoke, Madame Yu's female bodyguard received a phone call and handed the phone over to the elderly lady. After Madame Yu ended the call, her expression turned cold. "All right, I'll be right there." There was a traffic jam at this hour. When Madame Xu followed the Yu family representatives to the hospital, she did not even catch a glimpse of Yu Hongjing. The Yu family's bodyguards were blocking the door, staring coldly at Madame Xu. "Sorry, according to Mrs. Instructions, young Master Yu will not see anyone now." Yu Hongjing was staying in the high-ranking official's ward in Yunxiao district, and Madame Xu could not get in. When she asked what had happened, these people kept mum. The person in charge only said indifferently, "If you have any issues, go downstairs and ask your granddaughter about them." Was this related to Xu Jiyu? A sense of dread filled Madame Xu's heart. She saw the silhouettes of police through the crowd, and clutching her cane, she felt increasingly uneasy. "Let's go downstairs first and see the miss," the butler comforted her. "Miss Jiyu always listens to you. She's not the kind to cause trouble." Indeed, apart from studying, Xu Jiyu had almost no social interactions. Quiet and knowledgeable, Madame Xu hurried to the lower floor. Downstairs was the general ward. Standing at the door of Xu Jiyu's room were still the police officers waiting to take her statement. And Xu Jiyu was lying in the hospital bed, not having risen yet. "Are you her grandmother?" Seeing Madame Xu, the police officer squinted slightly, holding the statement. "Then may I ask, what is your relationship with Bai Lian?" Mrs. Xu's intuition told her this matter was no trivial issue. "My granddaughter's friend." "Yes," the police officer nodded, letting slip a little information to the relative involved. "Your granddaughter is not directly related to the incident. It was Bai Lian who did the hitting. She struck that young Master Yu, and besides him, over 10 other people in the private room were also beaten by her. This matter won't be easy to resolve." That young Master Yu aside, the gathering he had arranged included people from families that all had some degree of power and influence. One person would be trouble enough, but there were more than 10 of them involved. Old Mrs. Xu felt darkness descend before her eyes. The Xu butler quickly steadied her. "Old Mrs. Xu!" In the hospital room, Xu Jiyu blinked her eyes. She looked at the cell phone placed beside her, and holding her forehead, she got up and dialed Xu En's number. Upstairs. "Grandma, look." Yu Hongjing pointed at the injury on his head that had been stitched up with a dozen or so stitches and grimaced painfully. "You and sister must seek justice for me." In front of outsiders, he reigned with authority, but in front of the 2 very capable women of his family, he knew very well how to curry favor. He had specifically asked the doctor not to wrap a bandage around it so that his grandmother could see it, and the doctor did not dare object. Grandma Yu saw the ghastly scar at a glance. Ever since Yu Hongyi gained power, those eagerly fawning over the Yu family were numerous, including many from the Chen family. They had moved to the edge of Yunxiao district, where who would dare to provoke anyone with eyes? "How could you let this happen to the young master?" She scanned the bodyguards in the room with a fierce glare. The bodyguards all hung their heads, not daring to utter a word. Who was the perpetrator? "Bai Lian, Xu En's stepdaughter." A bodyguard recounted the entire incident from start to finish, including the matter related to Xu Jiyu. "You really have the nerve. She is Xu En's daughter. You're surely aware of how things have been going for the Xu family this past year, right?" As Yu Hongjing mentioned Bai Lian, his brows were deeply furrowed in gloom. "Grandma, that stepdaughter." "I know." Grandma Yu always turned a blind eye to her grandson's escapades. This time the commotion had been rather large. While Yu Hongjing could be dealt with behind closed doors, being blatantly assaulted like this was another matter altogether. Outside, a female bodyguard handed over a report to Grandma Yu. Grandma Yu looked down. It was Xu Jiyu's medical report. It revealed traces of hallucinogenic substances. She slowly crumpled the report into a ball and casually threw it into the trash bin. "Issue a new report." Then she took the cell phone from the female bodyguard's hand. "Hello, Captain Chen." At the police station. When Xu En arrived, Bai Lian was still in the detention room. Xu En had already learned about the case en route. A fight occurred, and though he didn't know the details, he was somewhat aware it involved Su Jiu. Regardless, he intended to get her bailaid out first. "You're talking about Bai Lian." Hearing Bai Lian's name, Officer Sun looked at Xu En. "Mr. Su, it might not be easy to bail her out." "Why?" Xu En got to his feet, his expression changing. Officer Sun quite liked Bai Lian and spoke in a hushed tone. "This incident involves over a dozen families. The Yu family, Zhang family, Wang family. They have all contacted Chief Zhang on her behalf, and most importantly, Captain Chen just called as well." In Jiangyin, upon hearing Chen, one inevitably thought of the Chen family. Captain Chen? Xu En knew that Yu Hongyi was well integrated into the Chen family. His knowledge of the Chen family was limited to Chief Chen. Who was this Captain Chen? "He communicated directly with our director." Officer Sun, a low-ranking officer, could not say much. "They're old comrades in arms. You should be prepared. She's likely to have a criminal record." As she spoke, Officer Sun couldn't help feeling helpless. So this young woman had connections too. No wonder she dared to strike directly, but she really was quite the hot-headed one. In such a large place as Jiangyin, there's always someone better. Her backers were clearly not as solid as those of others. By offending so many people at once, one of whom had such significant clout. Xu En had come with a lawyer, initially believing they could first bring Bai Lian home. He didn't expect not only would he fail to take her back, but he didn't even get to see Bai Lian. At the hospital, Xu En had also arrived, lit a cigarette, and stood still, his gaze deep and ponderous. "The Yu family. She really has some nerve," said old Mrs. Su as she tapped her cane, calling Xu En from the hospital. "You're still thinking about bail when you should be pondering how to appease the Yu family. They didn't even let me enter the hospital ward." Jiangyin stood beside Xu En, overhearing the conversation, and felt a twinge in her abdomen. "This Yu family." Jiangyin turned her head to ask Su's assistant, her heart beginning to worry. Recently, old Mrs. Su had always been very fond of Bai Lian, treating her exceedingly well, as she did to Jiangyin too. This was the first time that old Mrs. Su had mentioned Bai Lian in such a displeased tone. She knew that the trouble Bai Lian had caused this time was no small matter. The Yu family, they are people from the Chen family, and the other families also have significant backgrounds, Su's assistant explained in a low voice. They want to make Miss Bai have a criminal record. Jiangyin felt a darkness before her eyes. Bai Lian used to be unruly as well, but it was only child's play and fights among kids, most of which the Bai family could resolve back in Baikeng University. In the past year, she hadn't heard of Bai Lian causing any trouble and thought she truly had turned over a new leaf. Little did she expect that when Bai Lian did cause trouble, it would be this serious. Any one of these families could be on par with the Su family. Having a criminal record would make everything inconvenient in the future, directly affecting 3 generations. "Go to the hospital and find out what's happening." Xu En stubbed out his cigarette and headed to the car. The police station wasn't willing to disclose any information to them, and Xu En didn't believe Bai Lian would act rashly. "Help me contact Secretary Shen of District Mayor Shen." "Okay." Su's assistant took out his phone. After the last wedding, the Su family had become very close to District Mayor Shen. The car quickly arrived at the hospital. As soon as Xu En saw Su Jiu's condition, he knew the old Madame Su had done something behind his back. Suppressing his anger, he glanced at old Madame Su. Unusually, she offered no explanation and simply closed her eyes, turning the Buddha beads in her hands. "Let's put aside Jiu's matter for now. You better take care of your stepdaughter's problem first. Without Alien, do you know what would happen to Jiu?" Xu En looked incredulously at the old lady. This time, the old lady didn't answer. In her eyes, Su Jiu had long had a price tag attached. "District Mayor Shen is on the phone." Su's assistant handed the phone to Xu En. After giving old Madame Su a cold glance, Xu En walked outside to answer it. Police station. Officer Sun, after seeing off Xu En, turned to her captain, also the officer who had interrogated Bai Lian earlier. "Captain Zhang, considering this student's involvement in a fight, she should be eligible for bail." Captain Zhang had already received a call from the Chen family. He guessed that he was in line for a promotion and only gave her a glance. "Little son, weigh your words. The Chen family has spoken, and this isn't something you or I can handle. Take care of yourself." Captain Zhang casually placed the 2 books in his hand to the side. Both were on the basics of music theory. They were smeared with blood by Lian's books. He had seriously checked by Lian's background, which was a blank slate in their database. But ever since the Xu family had visited, he had a clear idea of what was going on. Officer Sun stayed silent. She had known all along. She returned to her own desk. Her phone rang in the drawer. It was the call from that girl from earlier. Officer Sun took it out and saw it was a local number with no note attached. There had already been 3 calls. Though she thought of turning off her phone, Officer Sun decided to answer it. An elderly voice spoke from the other side. "I was about to have someone locate you. You say you're all right, but then when can you come? You've made Dean Xu show up for nothing this time." "Hello." Officer Sun waited for him to finish before saying, "Student Bai is currently in detention and is not allowed bail, so she cannot answer your call." She briefly explained the situation. On the other end of the phone, Shun Yu froze, baffled. "Where did you say she is?" "Yunxiao District, Folt Road Police Station." Officer Sun gave the address. Upon hearing the address, Shun Yu hung up the phone, his eyebrows tightly knitted. It was nearing 9 o'clock, and he was supposed to go home, but after receiving the call, he looked up, "To Folt Road Police Station." As he spoke, he took out his phone and redialed another number. Meanwhile, Officer Sun hung up the phone, feeling it was a bit strange. After putting her phone on silent, she was about to put it away. Her phone lit up again. This time the incoming call had a note, Zhu 3. It must be someone Bai Lian knew. She remembered that the person she had just received was from the Xu family, thinking he was from the same family as Bai Lian. She took the call on behalf of Bai Lian. From the other end of the phone, a slightly noisy background filtered through. Su Nanjing found a quiet bathroom to take the call. "Alien, you must be done with today's business, right? I'm at Saijing. Ziju is also here. He's got some good stuff, and I've extorted one for you." His voice carried a hint of laughter, very relaxed. Everyone knew Bai Lian was done for the day and came back from her uncle's house today. "Hello." Officer Sun hadn't heard of this, only found it unexpected that they were all from the Xu family, and still didn't know that Bai Lian was in the police station. "Student Bai is still in the interrogation room and can't come out for now." "Wait." Su Nanjing looked at his phone and dug in his ear, thinking he had heard wrongly. "What did you say?" Officer Sun had good patience too. Since Bai Lian left a good impression on her, she repeated it again. This time, Su Nanjing finally heard it clearly. Detained and not allowed bail. Su Nanjing had heard of these things before because of Kai Lu mandatory detention. But a fight resulting in mandatory detention. He turned off the tap and raised his head to look at himself in the mirror, only asking, "No, which sub-branch are you from?" "Shanghai apartment." Jiang Fulai had already received a message. He knew Bai Lian was coming back today. In room 303, Pu Xiaohan sat on the edge of the couch, playing puzzles with Jiangyi. Seeing Jiang Fulai return, she stood up in a hurry. "Brother Jiang." Jiang Fulai responded casually, set down the pot of fresh flowers he was carrying and glanced toward the study. "Hasn't she come back?" "No." Pu Xiaohan swung her legs. "Isn't she at her uncle's house?" Bai Lian often stayed in the library until 11 o'clock at night, so Pu Xiaohan wasn't surprised by her late returns. Jiang Fulai placed the flower pot properly, took out his phone, found Jai Shaojun's WeChat and sent him a message. Jai Shaojun replied quickly. She went back at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Jiang Fulai's hand paused. The music bureau on Folt Road, Yunxiao District, Shaoming. He was already off work and home, dressed in casual clothes, browsing through cases on his computer in the study. His phone rang next to him, and seeing it was from Jiang University, he quickly answered. "President Shi." "Student Bai." Shaoming was startled. "Yes, our university's student this year. Several professors are paying close attention to her, and her character is absolutely impeccable," Xu Yu said. "You help me take a look at what exactly she did. I'll be arriving at your sub-branch right away." The president of Jiang University wasn't just a president. His family was influential from top to bottom in Jiangyin, and Shaoming didn't dare to delay. He hurriedly picked up his car keys and went downstairs. Just as he opened the car door downstairs, the phone rang again. This time it was a number he didn't recognize. He answered. Inspector Le. The person on the other end stated his last name quite politely. Our third young master would like to ask you, what trouble has his younger sister gotten into? Shaoming's vision went dark for a moment. Third young master is young master Nanjing. Uncle Lin's voice was gentle. He's already on his way there. As you know, our third young master never does things by halves. I'm apologizing to you in advance. Su third young master. Su Nanjing. Shaoming ended the call, drove onto the road, and dialed the department's number in the station. The moment the line connected, before the operator could speak, he burst out. Who's on duty today? Exactly which VIP did you folks detain? The operator on the other end of the phone recognized Shaoming's voice immediately and began to feel nervous. Today, Officer Zhang is on duty, and there's just one case of a brawl. Zhang Yiliang. As soon as Shaoming heard mention of Officer Zhang, he knew who it was. Zhang Yiliang was his go-to person. Most of the leaders in the department had high hopes for him and were preparing to promote him to inspector this year. Everything had been going smoothly, and Shaoming was happy to groom him. But he hadn't expected such a slip-up from him today. Shaoming directed his car onto the main road. Under normal circumstances, posting bail was enough to be released from detention, and nothing unusual would happen. But having heard what principal she said, Shaoming knew that Zhang Yiliang had screwed up today, detaining someone without offering the chance to post bail. Shaoming felt a cold sweat break out on his back when he heard the operator's report. He knew that if this situation wasn't handled properly, their whole station, from top to bottom, would face a major reshuffle. At the station, Zhang Yiliang was negotiating with two young masters in the break room. The man in the blue-black shirt, with his legs crossed, dictated his statement to Zhang Yiliang. We just invited these two classmates to have a couple of drinks. She refused to drink and even beat us up like this. Zhang Yiliang nodded while jotting down notes, looking for trouble, endangering public safety. Sun Fei poured a cup of water and headed to the detention room. Sun Fei, the elder by her side said, noting the direction she was headed, and knew she was going to see the girl. Officer Zhang hasn't left yet. Don't be too obvious. It's not entirely bad for her to be in detention. Sun Fei pushed the door and entered. The female student was still sitting on the chair, although her posture was no longer as straight as before. She leaned against the back of the chair, her eyelashes lowered like a small animal basking in the sun's rays, looking particularly relaxed. She appeared calm and composed, as if she had no idea what had just happened. Have some water, Sun Fei said, placing the teacup on the table. Lian opened her eyes and saw the white porcelain mug on the table. She picked it up. Did you send the message for me? She asked. Yes, Sun Fei recalled the last message Lian had sent, which was to Xiaoki. I told him to go to Yunxiao Hospital, but I don't know which ward your friend is in. Sun Fei had not been dispatched elsewhere and only knew that all the individuals involved tonight were at Yunxiao Hospital. No problem, Lian tapped her fingers lightly on the cup. Xiaoki could find out such details on his own. She wasn't worried. Sun Fei watched as Lian nonchalantly drank her tea, seemingly unaware of her current predicament, yet as if everything was under control. She was a person full of contradictions. I answered 2 calls for you, Sun Fei offered after she noticed Lian drinking water. One seemed to be from your teacher and the other from your brother. Lian leaned back. Teacher, brother? Yes, I told them about your situation. Sun Fei thought of the threatening undertone in the words of that Mr. Xu and felt a sense of danger. They seemed to be on their way over. Xu Wenyao. Lian pondered briefly. The one who had been in close contact with her recently was Xu Wenyao, outside the station. In the evening, traffic was sparse. Shaoming was in Yunxiao district, and he was the closest to the station. It took him less than 10 minutes to get to the station. People here recognized his car, and as soon as he parked, someone came over to receive him. Chief Le, what brings you here now? Shaoming's expression was grim. Who was detained tonight? A female student. Sun Fei is guarding her. Take me to see her, Shaoming said and headed straight for the detention room, his urgency palpable. Bring me the interrogation record and her files. The Xu family lived in Xinjiang district, which was probably not a 10-minute drive away. Soon after, someone handed over Lian's interrogation record and files to Shaoming. Shaoming walked while looking down, seeking trouble, intentional injury. These terms were unrelated to the brawl and seemed to be judged from the perspective of the other party. His frown deepened as he flipped further to Lian's personal information. Lian, female, not from Jiangyin, current address at Shanghai apartment. Data that could easily be overlooked. He closed the file just as someone opened the door to the detention room. The girl probably didn't expect anyone else to come in. She looked up unhurriedly, her dark pupils slightly surprised. Seeing she was unharmed, Shaoming breathed a sigh of relief. Miss Bai, please come with me to the office first. Sun Fei herself was standing at the door. She turned her head in surprise when she saw Shaoming asking Lian to his office. Why is Chief La here? The precinct was indeed large, and aside from major criminal cases, Sun Fei rarely saw Shaoming in person. Today's incident involved the Yu family, which certainly had some background, but they only contacted Chief Zhang. So, how did Shaoming come and take away Lian? Shaoming brought Lian to his office and made her a cup of tea. Please take a seat, Miss Bai. He didn't know what Lian's relationship was with the Xu family, but Shen Yu himself had said she was a good classmate from Jiangyin University, and just on that basis alone, it was enough to make Shaoming treat her cautiously. No sooner had he finished making the tea than his phone rang. Shaoming glanced at it and felt a tightness in his chest, hurrying out the door. Chief La, why did you release that Lian? Zhang Yiliang had just finished interrogating the people involved with Yu Hongjing and heard that Shaoming had come and released Lian. He was about to ask Shaoming if he knew Lian, but to his surprise, Shaoming didn't look at him and walked straight past him towards the main entrance. Faced with Shaoming's coldness, Zhang Yiliang felt something was amiss and quickly followed him. Just as they reached the door, a fiery red convertible screeched to a halt right at the entrance. The overhead lights by the door were on. Underneath the light, the red car body reflected a chilling gleam. In Jiangyin, luxury cars were commonplace, and all eyes were fixed on the license plate. The plate bore only 2 characters, A and 8. Such special license plates were unique to the big shots of Xinjiang district. Su Nanjing stepped out of the car, his glasses hanging from the neck of his t-shirt, keys still in the ignition, walking straight inside with a handsome and gentle appearance. But his sharp eyes made it hard to meet his gaze. Shaoming quickly followed, not daring to slack off in the slightest. Third young master, she's in my office. Su Nanjing didn't look at anyone else, just glanced at Shaoming. Take me there. Shaoming led him to the office. After the 2 left, the others finally exhaled, their eyes fixed on Su Nanjing. Chief Zhang, who is that guy? His 8 on the license plate is worth more than my life. Most people in the Yongxiao district precinct had never had the chance to even meet third young master Su. I don't know. Zhang Yiliang naturally had not seen him either, but felt uneasy and followed them directly. In the office. When Su Nanjing entered, Lian was sitting in the chair next to her, playing with her phone as the air conditioning hummed in the room. She was dressed in snowy white clothes, her delicate features framed by gently fanned eyelashes, her fingertips idly tapping the screen of her phone. Despite hearing that she had been involved in a fight, her hair and clothes were exceedingly tidy, not a wrinkle in sight. Only specks of red dotted her white pants, like tiny plum blossoms fallen upon the crisp white snow. Zioki had sent her a photo. Lian opened it and saw it was a blood test for Su Jiu. Upon hearing someone enter, she glanced up and saw Su Nanjing, leaning back in her chair, her eyes lazy. Why are you here? Seeing that Lian was unharmed, Su Nanjing breathed a sigh of relief, and his heart, which had been in his throat, finally settled. He slumped into the seat next to her. I called you, heard you got into a fight, that you're in police custody, under mandatory detention. What's the panic? Lian began pouring him a cup of tea, her tone languid but her words arrogant. I never lose fights. Her white attire and her dignified posture as she poured the tea, Her graceful movements revealed a light-colored infusion gently filling the cup. Her actions were unhurried and elegant. Xu Nanjing watched her pour the tea, just as serene and composed as in his memories, unable to imagine her engaging in a fight. She was much like Jiang Fulai, always maintaining her poise. She might be downcast, but never discomposed. After confirming she was all right, Xu Nanjing finally took a sip of his tea. He pulled out his phone and opened WeChat to send a message to Jiang Fulai, assuring him all was well. The second he received the call, Xu Nanjing had driven over immediately and notified Jiang Fulai. Meanwhile, Shaoming didn't dare to sit, only watching the interaction between Bai Lian and Xu Nanjing, feeling even more shocked inside. In Jiangyin, everyone in the circles knew the weight of the three young masters of Jiangyin. Shaoming was able to keep his cool when he received the call from Shen Yu, but the call from the Xu family had him all out of sorts, especially now. In the face of Xu Nanjing, Bai Lian remained unperturbed. From their conversation, one could tell that not only were they very familiar with each other, but Xu Nanjing appeared to be at a disadvantage. The cold sweat that had barely dissipated from Shaoming's back reappeared. Who exactly was this girl? When had such a person appeared in Jiangyin? Nanjing stood up and fished out a cigarette from his pocket, biting down on it. "I'll take her back first. There are people waiting for her at home." "Can I leave now?" Bai Lian looked up. Shaoming almost had a myocardial infarction from her single remark. "Of course, Miss Bai. You can leave whenever you wish." Not detaining the parties involved in the brawl and forcefully detaining others was unreasonable to begin with. He truly feared that if Bai Lian said one more word, his position might be at risk. Fortunately, Bai Lian didn't say more, only standing up. "I still have 2 books." "Books?" Shaoming hurriedly opened the door of the office, glancing at Sun Fei standing outside. "Where are Miss Bai's books?" His Miss Bai was very polite. Sun Fei was startled too and hurriedly said, "In the meeting room, I'll fetch them." She quickly brought over Bai Lian's 2 books. They were both stained with blood, which had dried. Shaoming saw the bright red blood and knew the fight had been intense. Associating it with Bai Lian's clean and neat white clothes, he couldn't help but gasp in shock. But he dared not ponder more and went in to give Bai Lian her books. Xu Nanjing also saw the bloodstains on the book covers, and his brows twitched a few times, feeling that something was not right. But he didn't think it through. Shaoming respectfully escorted them to the door. "Third young master, rest assured, I will investigate this matter thoroughly and will not bend the law for personal gain." Xu Nanjing's car was parked right at the entrance. He opened the passenger door, just about to let Bai Lian get in. A black 4-seater car pulled up beside his. It had Chang'an district plates, and in comparison to Xu Nanjing's Jaguar plates, the car's body and plates were both extremely low profile. Xu Nanjing felt the license plate looked familiar. Before he could think further, he saw the back door open and an elderly man clad in a dark robe step out. The moment he saw that face, Xu Nanjing's mouth fell open. As a former student of the management department at Jiangyin University, Xu Nanjing naturally recognized Principal Shi. But since he was only an average talent, he didn't see Principal Shi often. The ability to speak with Principal Shi was entirely because Principal Shi used to seek out Jiang Fulai often. He was just included by chance. Not expecting to see Shen Yu here, Xu Nanjing couldn't hide his surprise. "Principal Shi, what brings you here?" The high-caliber students of Jiangyin University were united externally despite internal strife, and Principal Shi, beloved by many, would even be treated respectfully by old Master Su himself. Shen Yu maintained a clear conscience and did not get involved with their several families. Although old Master Su had invited him several times, he always declined. All the way here, Shen Yu was on edge. Recalling Bai Lian's face, he realized it was indeed likely to provoke trouble. He had the driver's speed all the way here. He opened the car door before the car even stopped fully, not looking at Xu Nanjing, but casting his gaze on Bai Lian standing behind Xu Nanjing, and his hanging heart finally settled. "Principal Shi," Bai Lian placed the books on Xu Nanjing's passenger seat, lifting her brows slightly. "An unexpected incident occurred today, and I didn't manage to find you." The brother and teacher that Sun Fei mentioned were likely Su Nanjing and Shen Yu. No problem, I heard you got into a fight. Shen Yu nodded, his gaze falling on Shaoming and the others. That's sheer nonsense. How could you possibly get into a fight? Are you all right? Lian didn't feel the least bit guilty. I'm fine. The way he said Su Nanjing, the three words were obviously much more perfunctory, and not nearly as amiable. Su Nanjing wasn't surprised by Shen Yu's attitude. After all, Shen Yu still remembered his name, unlike academician Ma who would say, if you invest in the new equipment today, you are Su Nanjing, the third young master. Without investment, friend, who are you? What Su Nanjing found surprising was that Shen Yu and Lian knew each other, and not only that, but why was Shen Yu speaking to her so kindly? Su Nanjing didn't think it was because of Jiang Fulai's relationship. Shen Yu was not only Jiang Fulai's good friend, but also the third young master of the Su family, yet look how perfunctorily principal she treated him. As for Lian knowing Su Nanjing, Shen Yu casually observed them, then noticed Su Nanjing standing half a step behind Lian. It suddenly dawned on him that Lian came from Xiangcheng. Previously, the fact that Lian was from Xiangcheng merely made him feel contemplative, but seeing Su Nanjing today, Shen Yu paused. He remembered someone was in Xiangcheng and had recently returned to Jiangyin, stirring excitement in the academic circles. Glad you're fine, Shen Yu thought while he spoke with Lian. No rush with Dean Shu, he isn't busy in the next few days. Just let me know when you have time. Lian nodded. After a few words between them, Shen Yu realized this was not the place for a chat, and it was getting late. Lian had been detained for several hours, so he gave way and waited for the car to leave. Only then did Shaoming dare to speak to Shen Yu, Principal Shen. Who did she fight with? Shen Yu didn't go in, just stood at the door. Yu Hongjing. Shaoming had already seen the record. Yu Hongjing? Shen Yu clearly hadn't heard the name before, but guessed it was probably some scion from Jiangyin. He had come here to solve Lian's problem. Now that he saw Su Nanjing, Shen Yu was reassured. Dealing with this matter, these young masters were certainly more adept than him. After seeing Su Nanjing off, Shaoming respectfully saw Shen Yu out as well, and then stood straight. Chief Le, Zhang Yilyang had kept quiet until now, seizing his chance. He was still confused, but explained. It was Captain Chen who ordered the detention, letting her go like this. Yu family had long provided him with the data, which belonged to Su En, a rising power recently rooted in Yunxiao district. So Zhang Yilyang had always thought Su Nanjing was one of Su En's people. But sensing something off in Shaoming's demeanor, he felt uneasy. Captain Chen? Shaoming knew who this Captain Chen was. He looked at Zhang Yilyang with a sneer, Jiang University's principal, one of the three young masters of Jiangyin. You may not have met them, but surely you've heard of them, right? What? Zhang Yilyang never expected to encounter these two people in Yunxiao district, especially Su Nanjing, as sweat formed on his forehead. But I checked Lian's data, she clearly doesn't have any. He cut himself off, suddenly realizing something. Lian's data had no records in the national database. First, because she was too ordinary and had never committed an offense, there was nothing to record. Second, it was hidden by someone. Zhang Yilyang knew she was from Xiangcheng and instinctively thought she was the first case. As soon as Shaoming heard Zhang Yilyang, he knew what had happened, shaking his head. You go back and submit to an investigation. He walked inside. Being responsible for this incident in the substation was also his duty. Passing by Sun Fei, who stood aside, Shaoming stopped. Just as Lian had left, he had greeted Sun Fei. Sun Fei, right? He patted Sun Fei's shoulder. The implication was obvious, on the car. Su Nanjing didn't dare to drive too fast and didn't play music either. Sister Alien, do you want to connect to Bluetooth? He remembered Lian would always listen to words and original texts in Jiang Fulai's car. No need. Lian rested her hand on the car window, her white sleeves billowing in the wind. Fine. Su Nanjing turned on the music and then asked, Are you very familiar with Principal Shen? He asked to meet with you. The music in the car was all songs by Yan Lu. Yes, Lian replied lazily. The dean of the Chinese department sought me out. The Chinese department. How had she become involved with the Chinese department as well? They soon arrived at Shanghai apartment. The security guard had already recognized Xu Nanjing. Xu Nanjing got out of the car and tossed the keys to the security guard. At the entrance of the apartment building stood a tall and straight figure. Simple casual clothes enveloped by darkness, his presence low pressure and elusive. Even Xu Nanjing subconsciously slowed his steps. Seeing the keys Jiang Fulai was fiddling with in his hand, silver keys reflecting a cold light. She had entrusted this matter to Xiaoki, but from the moment she saw Xu Nanjing, she knew she couldn't hide it from Jiang Fulai. Reporting the results, I won. Jiang Fulai pursed his lips this time, not speaking. Lian calmly handed the books to Jiang Fulai. This book is dirty. Jiang Fulai looked down to see the bloodstains on the book, already dry. It was clear the fight was intense. It wasn't by Lian's blood, but the air around him grew heavier. He took the 2 books. Go upstairs and take a shower first. Lian observed his expression, thought for a moment, sighed, all right then. Upstairs. Pu Xiaohan was still sitting with Jiang He watching TV. The television was playing a variety show. Seeing Lian return, Pu Xiaohan greeted her leisurely while holding chips. Good evening, Sister Lian. Good evening. Lian replied succinctly and went to her room to shower. As she picked out clothes, she remembered Su Jiu and sent her a message on her phone. Xu Nanjing sat in the living room, looking up at Jiang Fulai standing on the balcony. He seemed to be making a call, voice low. Xu Nanjing couldn't make it out. His phone vibrated in his pocket. Xu Nanjing glanced at it. It was a message from Shaoming. It was about the case investigation. With just a glance, Xu Nanjing sat up straight. The case was simple. Yu Hongjing had forced Lian to drink, she refused, and an argument ensued. Then came Captain Chen's entrance. A few simple sentences, even for Xu Nanjing with his influential background. His back was drenched with cold sweat. He looked up at Jiang Fulai on the balcony, quietly walked to the door, closed it, and only dared to take out his phone in the staircase to dial a number. It rang twice before being picked up. Speak. The voice on the phone, a woman's, was crisp and decisive. Sister Baishuan. Xu Nanjing leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. Where are you? He rarely sounded so serious. On the phone, Chen Baishuan sheathed a dagger in her leg holster. On a mission. Get back here fast, Xu Nanjing urged, briefly recounting the situation. Yu Hongyi is one of your people. You better find that Chen fast to resolve this. And it might be best to pray that there was nothing in the drink they gave to Sister Alien. Otherwise, your patriarch stepping in won't be enough to save you. In Lian's room, she had just finished showering. She changed into her lounge clothes and was now toweling her hair dry, not liking to use a hairdryer. Xiaoki's call came in just then. Sis, have you come out? Xiaoki was still outside the hospital doors, looking up at the inpatient building with a cup of coffee in one hand, dressed in a clean and scholarly sportswear. Mao Kun stood behind him, looking around. Yeah, Lian opened the window of the room. Have you seen her? She's in a comatose state, Xiaoki had already asked the nurses. She woke up for a bit in between, but her consciousness was still unclear. She will need another 2 days, but there's no danger. Lian leaned on the table by the window, gazing outside. There's a female police officer in the sub-bureau, Sun Fei. I got it. Xiaoki hung up the phone and turned to leave. You got it. Got what? Mao Kun followed him. Didn't Sis finish talking? Are we supposed to investigate Sun Fei on our own or? Lian and Xiaoki often left Mao Kun struggling to keep up with their train of thought. You go have a couple of drinks with the rose-colored clubhouse boss. Xiaoki sipped his coffee and tossed the empty cup into a nearby trash can, speaking gently. The rose-colored clubhouse was the same place Lian went to find Su Jiu. Mao Kun, who usually didn't get involved in business matters, said, Me? Yeah. Xiaoki opened the back seat of the car, explaining patiently, Don't hold back, just answer whatever he asks. Mao Kun had spent some time in Jiangyin too. Xiaoki was just a worker, but Mao Kun was genuinely in charge of the Azure Dragon Bar there. As Wang Yufeng's adopted son, he was currently still relied upon by Wang Yufeng. As the #1 fighter in the ring, he was not someone to be constrained. It was no different than mingling with both the underworld and law-abiding society. Shanghai apartment. Bai Lian looked at her phone while methodically toweling her hair dry. She messaged Shun Yu, "Does Director Xu have time tomorrow?" It was late. Shun Yu had just gotten home and hadn't rested yet. Receiving Bai Lian's message surprised him. Given how dangerous tonight's events were, he wanted Bai Lian to rest for a few days, only to have her message him shortly after getting home. Shun Yu put on his glasses and sent a message back to Bai Lian on his phone. "Principal Shi, tomorrow morning, go to the Chinese department building." After sending the message, Shun Yu remembered something and called the university office, instructing them to keep a close eye on the Yunxiao district case. Having sent the message, Bai Lian's hair was half dry. She put the towel down and walked outside. In the living room, Pu Xiaohan, having lost appetite for her chips, stuffed them into Jiangyi's hands. Jiang Fulai was on the balcony, having not seen Xu Nanjing around. Bai Lian sat next to Pu Xiaohan and watched the variety show with her. Yan Lu's popularity in the industry had been topone in recent months, with many of her edited clips on short video platforms, and many even dug out a long spear video from an episode when Pu Xiaohan was at a martial arts hall. One segment of the long spear solo dance featured Yan Lu herself. Although Pu Xiaohan hadn't shown her face, sharp-eyed fans recognized her just from a high-zoom blurry backdrop, let alone a solo dance clip. Pu Xiaohan's video went viral again after half a year thanks to Yan Lu's popularity surge. This was one of the reasons for Pu Xiaohan's rapid fan base growth in the last few months. The blogger, One Big Bowl at a Time, had become officially certified by the authorities as a cultural heritage. On screen, Yan Lu talked about her recent hobby of studying gamoku, but always playing poorly. "I basically finish in less than a minute when playing with friends." She was the worst chess player among them all. In the end, Yan Lu remarked, "When I play with them, I always doubt my own IQ." At that moment, the hosts and guests still showed leniency, saying every trade has its master, and the viewers comforted Yan Lu in the comments. It wasn't until the host brought out a chessboard that the first game against Yan Lu didn't last a minute. In the second game, even with Yan Lu intentionally giving away pieces, it still didn't last a minute. Host and guests. Internet comment, "Lu Jai, sometimes you really shouldn't be too modest." Yan Lu. "Lu Jai's new drama is about to wrap up." Pu Xiaohan kept in touch with Sister Xin and asked Bai Lian while sitting cross-legged on the couch. "She's here to record a song, isn't she?" With her half-dry hair draped down, Bai Lian's downcast eyes were sharply outlined under the crystal lights of the hall. "No, Director Jiangyin upgraded the equipment. She wanted to come to try it out." As they talked, on the balcony, Jiang Fulai put down his phone. Shuffle 2 upon entering, I saw Bai Lian lounging on the couch, leaning back slightly in a very relaxed pose. As soon as he lifted it, the hot steam from the soup inside blurred his stern brow and eyes. As Xu Nanjing cautiously entered from the outside, he saw Bai Lian eating slowly, with Jiang Fulai sitting beside her, casually speaking to her. Upon seeing him come in, Jiang Fulai just gave him a faint glance. Xu Nanjing's heart tightened. 2:00 in the morning, 302. In Jiang Fulai's study, he hadn't turned off the lights but was only using his computer with the surveillance feed from the club on the screen, his gaze coldly scanning the wine glass in Yu Hongjing's hand. Outside the door were 2 very light knocks. Without moving his eyes, he just said, "Come in." It was Ming Dingheng who entered. With a stern expression, he handed Jiang Fulai 2 photocopies. "These are the documents a police officer from Yunxiao District Substation found." Jiang Fulai took them and glanced down briefly. One was a report on Su Jiu. The other was a residue report from a wine glass. It stated it was MS hallucinogenic agent with 11% addictive elements. His knuckles turned slightly white as he clutched the edge of the paper. On the desk, a phone lit up, showing an incoming call. Ming Dingheng, standing in front of the desk, clearly saw the caller was Chen Baixuan. Jiang Fulai placed the 2 sheets of paper on the desk and reached to dismiss the call. The person on the other side of the phone didn't dare to call again. 6:00 in the morning. An SUV ignored 3 roadblocks and finally stopped in front of the Chen family's gatehouse. "Why have you returned?" A polite and surprised expression crossed the face of the Chen family's security officer as he put aside what he had been holding and respectfully approached. Chen Baixuan, dressed in a black martial arts suit, rolled up a document in her hand and said in a cold voice, "Notify all managers. A meeting is to be held in the main hall, including the old master." The security officer gazed at her stern profile, feeling a thud in his heart. Chen Baixuan rarely made public appearances. She became well known in the Chen family after transferring from the command to the combat division and making a name for herself in battle, thereby securing the position of the second chair in the Chen family. The Chen family didn't focus on gender, but on individual capability. The old master of the Chen family had personally introduced her to the Jiang family. Everyone knew that she was mostly likely the person the old master of the Chen family favored to be the 32nd sect leader. Within the Chen family, perhaps Chen Baixuan alone dared to have the old master convene a meeting in the main hall. In the Chen family's main hall, the room is supported by 4 red sandalwood Nanmu pillars, with an interior ceiling height of 6 meters. In the center is a 10-meter-long table. As members of the Chen family entered, they saw Chen Baixuan standing in front of the long table with her back to the door. The others, who had been disturbed early in the morning, were mostly in a bad mood, but because it was Chen Baixuan, no one dared to speak. Half an hour later, the old master entered wearing traditional Tang attire. The coolness of the early morning dew made him lower his head to cough a few times, while those next to him helped him over the threshold. The health of the old master hadn't been good over the years, but his presence alone exerted a suppressive atmosphere, silencing the entire main hall, with all eyes turning to him. "Calling me over this early?" The old master sat at the forefront, looking toward Chen Baixuan, his expression indecipherable. "Must mean something has happened." When the old master spoke, the others standing to the side began to take their seats one by one. "Who oversees Folt Road in Yunxiao district?" Chen Baixuan swept her gaze around the room, finally resting it on the old master. A middle-aged man stood up. "Miss Baixuan, that would be me." Chen Baixuan tossed the documents she was holding in front of him. Chen Luping glanced down. It was a file on a minor case. He didn't recognize the name Yu Hongjing, but since it was similar to his subordinate Yu Hongyi, it struck a chord. The next page contained information on the hallucinogenic agent, a substance itself prohibited and associated with drugs, not circulating on the market. Chen Luping's complexion, darkened as the appearance of such a thing within his jurisdiction, dawned on him. He couldn't help but look toward the old master. The old master wasn't looking at him, instead resting with closed eyes, waiting for Chen Baixuan to finish before opening them. "Is that all?" "The Shun family, the Su family, and the Jiang family, they are all watching this matter," replied Chen Baixuan, meeting the old master's gaze. With each name Chen Baixuan mentioned, Chen Luping's complexion turned one shade paler, breaking out into a cold sweat by the last name. The old master, whose expression had remained calm and inscrutable, finally showed some agitation. Chen Luping stood up, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We'll start an immediate investigation." After he left, the old master turned to look at Chen Baixuan. "What exactly is going on?" Shuffle 3, "You know why Miss Jiang came back?" Chen Baixuan sighed. "Chen Luping's people had her forcibly detained, and that drink with the hallucinogenic drug was given to her. This happened on our turf. Let's not even mention the Jiang family. How are we going to explain it to the Shun family?" Chen Baixuan lowered his head, glanced at his cell phone, and Jiang Fulai said nothing. She just sent her a picture. That day, the whole Yunxiao district went into a severe crackdown. The next day, just after 7 in the morning, in the office of the dean of the Chinese department at Jiang University. It was the summer break, and there weren't many students in the Chinese department other than those studying for their postgraduate exams, so many floors were closed. Dean Xu arrived early. He was sitting at his desk, his computer on, displaying the PowerPoint presentation he had prepared for an academic lecture. His posture as he clicked the mouse wasn't focused. Instead, he occasionally looked towards the door. Next to him, his assistant had prepared a cup of tea for Dean Xu. "The person you are waiting for has not arrived yet." Learning that Dean Xu had come so early to wait for someone, the assistant was quite surprised. Was he waiting for Principal Shun? No sooner had he finished speaking than someone knocked on the office door. Dean Xu immediately stood up and said, "Please come in," while his assistant also looked towards the door, curious about who could make Dean Xu wait in advance. Instead of the expected Shun Yu and others, an unfamiliar girl walked in. She wore a simple stand-collar shirt with light red peach blossoms embroidered at the cuffs and collar, possessing a pair of eyes that seemed veiled by morning mist as she entered the office in the morning light. "Dean Xu," Lian spoke politely. Dean Xu stood in place looking at her, momentarily taken aback. On the side, the assistant prompted him, and Dean Xu spoke absent-mindedly. "Sit." He was the very picture of refined elegance. "Miss Bai, I don't mean to intrude, but I wanted to discuss your college entrance examination essay with you. Given the level of detail in your essay, you must have also studied Daeyoung literature in depth." As a scholar dedicated to national studies, knowing that Bai Lian scored full points in her other subjects and was planning to apply for the Tongfeng class, he hadn't planned on competing with others for such a student. This year, there was only one essay that received full points, and Dean Xu had reviewed it countless times. Every time he read it, he felt that the style was exceptionally familiar. He was an enthusiast of Daeyoung literature. Those unrestrained and unbridled words, each time he read them, made him feel as though the cold, historical text was no longer lifeless, but warm, as if those recorded events were happening close to him. Bai Lian looked down, her voice very soft. "Yes." Dean Xu's eyes brightened. He discussed the intricacies of Daeyoung with Bai Lian for an hour, growing more fervent as they talked. It wasn't until he saw Bai Lian out that he felt a bit regretful. "I should have vied with Principal Shun for her." "Dean," his assistant asked in confusion, "why do you value Miss Bai so much?" "There were 4 students from Jiangyin who got into Jiangyin University this year." Dean Xu did not answer directly, just stated matter-of-factly. The assistant didn't understand and commented, "They are very impressive. The teaching resources in Jiangyin aren't good. This year's college entrance exam broke any previous record." Dean Xu turned his head and glanced at him. "Why do you think the person behind Zhongxing has such a good eye, finding the right 9 directors for Zhongxing Group from tens of millions of people?" The assistant was taken aback. "History has proven countless times that our great land of China is never short of talented people. A single county could gather enough talents needed to govern the country." Dean Xu didn't wait for his response, speaking softly. "What's lacking is just a leader. The 3 other test takers from Jiangyin are not an anomaly, but an inevitability. Jiangyin has more than just those 3 to offer." "Huh!" The assistant was startled by Dean Xu's solemn and certain tone. "Where are the others, then?" "In the prison in Jiangyin." Zhang Shais looked at the young man across from him. "What do you think are my chances of getting into Jiangyin University of Political Science and Law now?" Xing Liheng pondered for a moment. "It still requires effort. You and Brother He are good people. Brother Jiang and Teacher Kai would only have me squat for another 10 years. Zhang Shais leaned back slightly, finding Xing Liheng, and he went gentler. "Thank you, Brother Xing." Xing Liheng was taken aback by his words. "I wouldn't dare." To call Miss Jiang Brother Jiang was one thing, but for him to call Xing Brother Xing. "Just call me Xiao Xing," he said carefully. When the tutoring session ended, the officer led Zhang Shais back in. The 2 were familiar with each other and didn't handcuff Zhang Shais throughout. Zhang Shais returned to his workstation where another man with a shaved head was sitting at his sewing machine. As soon as he saw Zhang Shais coming, he hurriedly stood up, stepping aside. "Brother Zhang, have you finished your studies?" Zhang fought with a good person. "Aren't you supposed to be released from prison today?" Zhang Shais sat down, reciting trigonometric functions while operating the sewing machine. "I came to bid you farewell before leaving." Li Sheng hadn't changed clothes yet, standing behind Zhang Shais giving him a back massage. "Then I'll wait for you in Jiangyin. You can contact me directly when you get there." Li Sheng's family was from Jiangyin. Originally, his family had arranged for him to hide in Bacter Street to avoid arrest, but he was still caught in Xiancheng just before he could escape. Meanwhile, at the hotel where Yang Lin worked, she stopped wiping the table, looked up at Lu Lingxi. "What did you say?" Jiangyin, your sister is in Jiangyin. Lu Lingxi placed a thick envelope in her hand. After your father was imprisoned, she gave me your medical expenses and left. I haven't seen her since, but I always feel you will be able to find her. After Lu Lingxi left, Yang Lin finished washing today's dishes and cleaned the kitchen. Eventually, she went to the front desk. The landlady was bending over the accounts. She didn't lift her head but placed a 100 yuan note on the table. Here. Landlady. Yang Lin didn't take the money. I won't be coming in tomorrow. She was a temporary worker with no contract. The landlady looked up. Have you saved up enough for living expenses? A gust of wind blew through the room, pushing apart Yang Lin's thick bangs a little, revealing her calm, black eyes. She looked in the direction of Jiangyin. The scholarship money is enough. Yunxiao District. Bus Route 156. Bai Lian sat by the window. An old lady was sitting next to her. Outside the window, another police car whizzed past with its siren blaring. The police! The old lady spoke to the person next to her. Why are there police cars again? I've seen over 10 this morning. The people on the bus were discussing this event, as ordinary people always enjoy such spectacles. The news from the self-media today was all about the strange occurrences in Yunxiao District. Several streets were blocked off, all the major entertainment venues were closed for inspections, and the public watched the excitement. The bus reached the stop, Yunxiao District Central Hospital. Bai Lian got off the bus. There were also 2 police cars parked at the entrance of the hospital. The person standing by the police car saw Bai Lian and hurried over. Miss Bai. Bai Lian glanced at him, nodding slightly. Chiefla, hospital. In Su Zhiyu's hospital room, Madame Su had not gone home all night. Su Zhiyu had not woken up. Beside her, Su En stood holding a cigarette, his complexion not looking good. When Xu Wenyao and Shen Min walked in, Madame Su, who sat on a chair nearby, stood up, speaking extremely politely. District Chief Shen, what brings you here? Su En put down the cigarette, greeted Shen Min, then asked, How is it going? Jai Mulan, sitting in front of the hospital bed, also looked up. She was holding Su Zhiyu's hand, and turned to look at Shen Min. Shen Min was one of the most influential people Jai Mulan had ever met. Folt Road has been blocked off. Xu Wenyao put down his phone and pressed his brow. We couldn't even get into the police station, let alone see Alien. Hearing about the roadblock, Su En was startled. Brother Shen, you didn't get in either. This doesn't have much to do with Miss Bai. Yunxiao District is having a crackdown, just happened to be inopportune. Shen Min couldn't say much, just mentioned. Yunxiao District may be in for a big cleanup. Xinjiang District is the administrative center. Yunxiao District, on the other hand, is the economic center of the entire Jiangyin. This kind of major district overhaul didn't have much to do with small enterprises like the Su family. Xu Wenyao wasn't concerned. He only looked to Su En. What do the Su Yajun say? It's said to be the Yu family's doing, who would dare to touch this matter. Su En turned to look at Su Zhiyu on the hospital bed. We can't get into the substation now. Are we just going to watch Alien stuck inside? Grandpa called me today. I didn't dare to tell him. The hospital room fell into silence. Madame Su looked at Shen Min, then at Su Zhiyu, and sat down dejectedly. Butler, give me the phone. I'll ask Mr. Qi. She knew Qi Xian had been doing well lately. Even though the 2 families no longer had marital ties, Madame Su never offended anyone. She had still sponsored a lot of money to the Qi family, and they never turned it down. When Qi's father received the call, he spoke bureaucratically. You also know that Xian has only seen Mr. Le few times. How can they talk to each other? The call ended, and Qi's father looked at Mrs. Qi in the living room. If the Su family calls again, just don't answer. He patted his sleeves and stood up. Breaking ties with the Su family hadn't been entirely a bad thing last time. Qi's father was in good spirits. Mrs. Qi originally still had intentions of repairing the relationship with Madame Su. After all, the Su family's money had always been very persuasive to the Qi family, and this circle was always about mutual interests. She put down her teacup. What a pity. As for this matter, Su En wasn't surprised by the Qi family's reaction. I can only beg my old sister-in-law again. Madame Su looked up. Holding onto her cane, she stood up. Both of you follow me to the Yu family, agree to whatever she says. My old sister-in-law is very concerned about her face." Shen Min stood aside, silent. Xu En and Xu Wenyao knew that Madame Xu was referring to both of them. They followed behind Madame Xu, preparing to leave. "Now it's about whether we can see them at all." Outside the room, Bai Lian looked down, lost in thought. Next to her, Shaoming was talking to her. Bai Lian had just lifted her hand to knock on the door when it was opened from the inside. Seeing Xu Wenyao and Xu En, Bai Lian thought they were on their way out and stepped aside, making room as she normally did, and greeted Xu En, "Uncle Xu." Next to Bai Lian, Shaoming had information on Xu En and the others in his hand, as he reached out his right hand to Xu En, very friendly. "Mr. Xu, hello." Bai Lian, who should still have been detained, appeared here, leaving Xu En stunned for a moment before reacting. "Hello, I'm Xu En." He reached out his hand. Xu Wenyao looked at Bai Lian, and the nerve that had been taut finally relaxed as he leaned against the doorframe. "It's good that you're all right." Bai Lian's gaze swept past the old Mrs. Xu without a word. Having not heard any news all night, Mrs. Xu was almost scared out of her wits. Behind Xu En, Shen Min's gaze fell on Shaoming. "Chief Le?" Mingfeng district was far from Yunxiao district, and although Shen Min had heard of Shaoming, Le had never seen Shen before, only nodding slightly at him. "Hello." While a few people were talking, Bai Lian had already walked up to the hospital bed. Jai Mulan was still sitting on the left side of Su Jiyu's bed, holding her left hand and looking at her with a worried gaze. Upon seeing Bai Lian, she looked up in astonishment. "You!" Bai Lian paid no attention to Jai Mulan. She bent over, her fingertips carelessly touching Su Jiyu's wrist, her eyes downcast. After making sure Su Jiyu was all right, Bai Lian stood up, and on the other side, Jai Mulan also stood up. "Are you all right? How did you get out?" She wanted to ask more, but Bai Lian looked at her with a chilly gaze. Her almond-shaped eyes were black, devoid of any emotion, yet the sense of oppression was strong. Jai Mulan swallowed the words of concern that were on the tip of her tongue, suddenly feeling a sense of powerlessness. She clearly felt that this was all that was left between her and Bai Lian. Xu Wenyao brought a cup of hot water for Bai Lian, his gaze landing on Su Jiyu. He hesitated. "Sorry, we had no idea about Grandma and Jiyu's situation and ended up involving you." Bai Lian took the cup. "It has nothing to do with you." It was that glance that had made Bai Lian so alert. Xu En, Shen Min, and Shaoming were still talking at the door. Su Jiyu had not woken up, and Shaoming only asked a few routine questions. Shaoming had come with Bai Lian, and when she left, he followed. "Miss Bai, wait for me." The two figures quickly disappeared towards the elevator. Xu En and the others escorted them to the elevator, and it was only then that Jai Mulan reacted. "Wenyao, did you ask Alien how she got out?" Xu Wenyao and Xu En already knew the entire problem lay with Chief Le. The old Mrs. Xu, who had been silent the whole time, stood up, leaning on her walking stick and looking in the direction Bai Lian had left. "Chief Lu is the head of Yunxiao Sub-Bureau," said Shen Min, coming back to his senses. He smiled and explained to Xu En, "Shaoming, Miss Bai knows him. It seems I no longer need to be involved in this matter." Xu En went to the Sub-Bureau that evening, and not only did he not see Chief Le, he didn't even catch a glimpse of Bai Lian. Hearing that Chief Le was the head of the Sub-Bureau, the old Mrs. Xu also turned back in shock. They had all seen the way Shaoming had treated Bai Lian just now. Jai Mulan sat back down, her gaze wandering as she looked at Su Jiyu on the hospital bed. Downstairs. Shaoming accompanied Bai Lian downstairs. "Miss Bai, rest assured, we will definitely give you an explanation." Bai Lian was holding her phone, her gaze looking ahead, and soon she saw the blue car in the temporary parking space across the street, its taillights still flashing, obviously having just parked. She stepped to the side and thanked Shaoming. "Thank you." Shaoming saw Bai Lian to the car. As Bai Lian pulled open the passenger seat door, Shaoming caught a glimpse of the person in the driver's seat, whose faint gaze swept over him like the cold flash of an unsheathed short sword. Shaoming froze on the spot. The blue car drove away, and only when the ringtone in his pocket sounded did Shaoming come to his senses. He answered the phone. It was a friend. "What's going on over there?" There was a significant commotion in Yunxiao district, and the people from several surrounding districts were getting restless. They had not received any information about policy changes. The cause just because of a clubhouse, Shaoming exhaled. Let me give you a heads up about this year's freshmen at Jiangyin University. The night before, Sun Fei had turned up with 2 reports, and he knew things might get complicated. But he never guessed it would escalate like this. A harsh crackdown throughout Yunxiao district. Top-to-bottom closure of all clubhouses for a search for hallucinatory drugs, and all related personnel suspended and cooperating with the investigation. Up until just now. Shaoming finally understood why Su Nanjing had appeared that night. In the car, Bai Lian's phone automatically connected to the Bluetooth, resuming the English reading that had been interrupted. Jiang Fulai drove onto the main road, tapping her white fingertips on the steering wheel and glancing over slightly. Didn't you have Ming Dingheng to be your driver? I'm not used to it, Bai Lian said, looking down at WeChat. Lu Lingxi had sent her a message that Yang Lin would be coming to Jiangyin in a couple of days. Without asking how Lu Lingxi found out, Bai Lian immediately sent a message to Yang Lin, asking when she would arrive. Jiang Fulai drove onto the main road, and after seeing her finish replying to the message, he hesitated before speaking. You should probably get your driver's license. Never mind. Having seen her drive rashly, Jiang Fulai had never suggested she get a driver's license. He was afraid that, once Bai Lian finished learning, the points they all had combined wouldn't be enough for the ones she'd have deducted. What do you think of Chen Yongkun? Jiang Fulai changed the subject. Bai Lian wasn't much interested in modern cars either. She just propped her phone under her chin, speaking in a languid tone. He used to be so-so, but now he is quite good. Everyone could see how rapidly Xiang Cheng had developed this year, and all these were the achievements of Chen Yongkun's hard work. Around the corner, yellow roadblocks were placed at the intersection, and a bunch of police cars were parked ahead. That road had been temporarily closed. Many private cars and taxi drivers stopped to join the crowd of onlookers smoking cigarettes. Jiang Fulai calmly made a U-turn and selected a new route. Shanghai apartment. The security guard at the entrance had already grown accustomed to the luxury cars that frequently came in and out of the complex. No one was in 303. Pu Xiaohan had taken Jiang He out to play, with Ming Dingheng acting as the driver for the 2 of them. Bai Lian didn't go in and went straight to the piano room in 302. Jiang Fulai stood at the door for a while before gently closing it behind her. He went to the study next door and took out his cell phone to call Director Chen first. Director Chen had counted on being demoted to Xiangcheng, expecting to stay for at least 2 years, so why the sudden possible return to Jiangyin? Yes. Jiang Fulai obviously had little patience with Director Chen. Come back first. There will be several positions open in Yunxiao district for a re-election, and you should participate in the general election. Director Chen didn't doubt the information given by Jiang Fulai. He looked to his right where Jai Heng had moved to a different spot to bait, and Director Chen lowered his voice. What about Uncle Jai? I heard from Xiaoting today that they're also going to Jiangyin next month. After Bai Lian went to Jiangyin, Tang Ming's students from Class 15 would visit Jai Heng regularly. Director Chen did the same. If everyone left, Bai Lian could offer him constructive advice, and Jai Heng occasionally had a few pointers for him. Having been around for so long, Director Chen viewed Jai Heng as an elder. Jiang Fulai ended the call and returned to WeChat, clicking on Jai Heng's profile. She got into a fight. Jai Heng didn't check his phone much while fishing, and half an hour later, he called Jiang Fulai directly. Alien got bullied. Jai Heng's voice betrayed his urgency. He couldn't imagine Bai Lian getting into a fight. Jiang Fulai opened up his laptop. She was acting bravely. Although it was dangerous, fortunately she wasn't hurt. This time she wasn't injured, but next time might not be the same. Jai Heng picked up on that. He put down his fishing rod, picked up the cigarette holder from the ground, bent down, and lit it up. Yu family. Grandma Yu was watching the chef make soup for Yu Hongjing. Her silver-white hair was all combed back, giving her a capable look. Has Hongyi not answered the phone yet? She wanted to know the situation with the Su family at the moment. But since coming back from the hospital last night, she hadn't gotten through to Yu Hongyi's phone. The female bodyguard replied, "That's correct." Grandma Yu narrowed her eyes but didn't think much of it, as Yu Hongyi often got involved in confidential activities. Just as she was thinking about this, a servant came in panic-stricken from outside. "Madam, madam," Grandma Yu walked from the kitchen to the living room. "What's all this fuss about? Calm down." Before she could finish her sentence, she saw the police following the servant, with the lead officer pulling out his badge. "Please cooperate with our investigation." Investigate what? Grandma Yu had never encountered such a situation since she was born and looked at them calmly. "If you have any matters, you can discuss them with my granddaughter." The leading officer didn't respond, but just took her to the police station to cooperate with the investigation. At first, Grandma Yu maintained her composure until she saw Yu Hongjing in the interrogation room, his head still bandaged. Yu Hongyi only came to see her an hour after she had arrived. Seeing Yu Hongyi, Grandma Yu's forced composure finally started to crack. "Hongyi, why have they arrested me and your brother?" Yu Hongyi closed her eyes briefly. "Because of Yu Hongjing, all the clubs and bars in the entire Yongxiao district have been shut down for review, and the related staff are suspended from work." Yu Hongyi couldn't find out any news. She hadn't seen anyone from the Chen family. The only reason she got into the police station was through connections she had from before. Old Madam Yu recounted the events of the past 2 days, and only the Xu family came to mind. The Xu family, Xu Jiyu, Xu En's stepdaughter. Xu Jiyu had been personally brought over by old Madam Xu, who knew everything about her. Only one person remained, Bai Lian, who was said to be associated with a Chen Yi. There were such rumors in the circle, but old Madam Yu never took them seriously. Everyone around the Yu family was eager to please, and the Yu family had always doted on Yu Hongjing since he was a child. Whenever he encountered any trouble, everyone would come forward to resolve it for him. She had thought that this time would be like any other, but who could have known the commotion would be so great? Old Madam Yu explained, "That's all there is to it, just let them release me first." That's all there is to it. Yu Hongyi finally understood the whole affair. She had always been proud, but at this moment she only pursed her lips and looked at her. "Have I not spoken to you about Xu Wenyao?" She. Old Madam Yu glanced at Yu Hongyi and finally sat down on the chair. Old Madam Yu had heard from Yu Hongyi that Xu Wenyao was a company that directly supplied research medication to the military forces behind the Chen family. Qi family. The Qi family was having dinner. "I heard there was quite a commotion in Yongxiao district today," Mr. Qi asked Qi Xiaohan. "Do you know anything about it?" Now successfully infiltrated into the ranks of rich young ladies, Qi Xiaohan was better informed than her father, but she was also in the dark about this matter. No idea, they were discussing it too. If even they didn't know, then such matters indeed had nothing to do with ordinary people. She did, dressed in a beige, form-fitting long dress. Qi Xiaohan pulled out a chair and sat down, her voice indifferent. "She offended the Yu family. What can I do about it?" The father and daughter had made the same decision, but Qi Xiaohan's phone rang at that moment. It was a sister from her social circle. She quickly picked up. "Wenji, are you looking for me?" However, it wasn't Wenji's voice on the other end. "Hello, I'm Yu Hongyi. I wanted to ask if you could help me contact someone from the Xu family." Yu Hongyi. Qi Xiaohan had long heard of her notorious reputation in the circle of socialites. Even though Yu Hongyi was not part of their circle with her martial endeavors, she was well known to everyone, including Qi Xiaohan. She never expected such a person to come to her. "Miss Yu, Xu Wenyao's family?" Qi Xiaohan stood up and gestured for her parents to be quiet. Yu Hongyi was direct. "Yes, about my brother's affair, I want to personally apologize to them." Hearing the beginning, Qi Xiaohan did not catch the rest. "Okay, I'll try to pass the message." She hung up, holding her phone and sitting down in a daze. "What's wrong?" Mr. Qi glanced at her. Qi Xiaohan looked up. "The Yu family wants to apologize to the Xu family." "What?" Mr. Qi's face drained of color. The Yu family, which had moved from Mingfeng district to Yongxiao district, needed to apologize to the Xu family. Mr. Qi took out his phone and made a call, indirectly trying to get news about the Xu family members from others. "You mean Mr. Xu? He attended the Chamber of Commerce event today." The person spoke in a lowered voice. I even saw the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce seek him out alone. Yunxiao district had been cracking down severely for several days. Even the mice passing through the clubhouse would get a beating. Bai Lian of Shanghai apartment, however, was not affected. The old master of the Su family's birthday was in 2 days. Early this morning, Gao Yan brought her homemade pastries to see Bai Lian at Shanghai apartment. She hadn't given up the idea of taking Bai Lian as her goddaughter. Jiang Fulai and Su Nanjing were discussing official matters in apartment 302. In 303, Bai Lian placed the printout on the table and pulled up a chair to sit beside Pu Xiaohan. Mingding hang freshly brewed tea and poured her a cup. Jiang he sat on Pu Xiaohan's left, and she shoved a piece of cake into his hand. "Eat up, brother bird." Pu Xiaohan grabbed another cake in the shape of a plum blossom, took a bite, and looked at Bai Lian. "When do we leave?" "After eating." Bai Lian picked up her cup of tea and gently blew on it. Her other hand opened her phone, which had several messages on WeChat. "Yang Lin, just finished watching over Grandma. I'll take the train tomorrow." With one hand on the screen, Bai Lian replied, "When will you arrive? I'll pick you up." Tang Ming sent a message in the group. "You all went to Jiangyin. Where are you headed?" Gao Yan had only then heard they were going out again and was very concerned. "Auntie, Xiaohan and I are going to see Sister Yan." Pu Xiaohan squinted her eyes, her familiarity with Gao Yan growing due to the pastries. "In a couple of days, a classmate of ours will also come." Yan Lu had arrived in Jiangyin at 6 in the morning and had already gone ahead to Jiangyin. They hadn't seen each other for a long time, and since Pu Xiaohan had not yet visited Principal Jian since she came to Jiangyin, the two planned to first go to Jiangyin. After finishing their meal, Bai Lian and Pu Xiaohan left the house. Next door, in room 302, Jiang Fulai had just grabbed the car keys and was slowly opening the door, with Su Nanjing following behind him. Seeing Gao Yan, Jiang Fulai politely nodded his head and greeted her. Upon seeing Jiang Fulai holding the keys, Gao Yan knew he was going to drive Bai Lian out. Only after everyone had left did Su Nanjing tilt his head and ask, "So, did she agree to go?" "No," Gao Yan glanced at Su Nanjing. "How does Lian have so many friends in Jiangyin? No wonder you're of little use." There were many people coming for the old man's birthday, and Gao Yan wanted to introduce Bai Lian to a few of them. That Bai Lian wasn't going didn't surprise Su Nanjing. He started heading upstairs. Even if she had no friends, she'd still be busy. That guy Jiang Ziju hasn't even seen her yet. Gao Yan thought this made sense and followed him upstairs. "Is your upstairs finished yet?" "Not even close. Jiang He is home every day. When do I have time to set things up?" Su Nanjing was also worried that the renovations would disturb Bai Lian and the others. "Gao Yan, how did rooms 302 and 301 finish so quickly?" "If Jiang brother wanted to, he could get Zhangxing to build him a mobile living room in 2 days and move it to 302. Su Nanjing looked at the 3 apartments upstairs. "Mom, please don't mention it." Meanwhile, Bai Xiaoqi was also rushing to Chang'an district early in the morning. The Yin family was in Beiheng district, which is quite far from Chang'an district. They had to go through Yunxiao district to get to Chang'an. The driver for the Yin family was driving, with Mr. Yin in the passenger seat, and Songmin and Bai Xiaoqi were sitting in the back. Bai Xiaoqi was going to attend her morning class today and then head to Jiang University to find Bai Xiaoq. Hence, Songmin was accompanying her. These past few days, Yunxiao district was filled with police, and there were many roadblocks that hadn't been removed yet today. There was an incident. Mr. Yin glanced outside the window and sighed. "A strict inspection for 7 days, several clubs have been uprooted. I've heard that several people in Yunxiao district have been taken down. We don't know what happened. It's not something we can manage." Such matters, the Yin family naturally did not have the inside story and could only speculate from rumors. Bai Xiaoqi just looked at the roadblocks, feeling quite shocked. By her side, Songmin was looking through quiz questions on his apps and didn't look up. Mr. Yin got off at the Yin family's company, and the car continued towards Jiangyin. Songmin and Bai Xiaoqi got out of the car. Both of them were already familiar with Jiangyin and headed straight to Jiangyin's building. "Xiaoqi," The girl who always attended class with Bai Shayaki saw them from a distance and waited for her. "Songmin, you're here to accompany Shayaki for classes again." She chattered with Bai Shayaki as they made their way to the building. During the summer vacation, there were still a few people coming to Jiangyin for early classes. There was only one elevator in the building, and the three of them waited a few minutes at the elevator entrance before it came down from the 5th floor. Upon entering, they immediately saw the "no stopping" sign on the 3rd floor. The girl, seeing the sign, paused for a moment and wondered, "Someone is recording on the 3rd floor again." Bai Shayaki and Songmin both glanced at the "no stopping" sign. Who exactly is using the 3rd floor? It's still so busy even during the summer vacation. It must be those few, the girl explained. Our school's recording studio is the best in Asia. Not just domestically, but even people from abroad come here in admiration. When can I also record on the 3rd floor? As she talked, she pressed the button for the 5th floor and waited for the elevator doors to close. Meanwhile, a female voice came from outside the elevator. "Beauty, wait for us." A fair hand blocked the closing elevator doors. The girl hurriedly pressed the open button. Thank you. Pu Xiaohan thanked the girl and shouted outside, "Birdie, can you hurry up?" When the elevator doors opened, they could see a few steps away. A girl with long legs was walking ahead, her brows slightly lowered and her eyes downcast, holding a white jade fan in her hand, its crystalline bones resting on her bent knuckles. She wore a long dress with 3/4 sleeves, with a full skirt, white with colorful poppies hidden within its folds, blossoming with her steps. Behind her, a delicately handsome boy was jogging with effort to catch up. The two of them reached the elevator in a few steps. The elevator was spacious, and even with 3 more people entering, it was still very roomy. Songmin and Bai Shayaki stood to the left. Almost immediately as the elevator doors opened, the two recognized Bai Lian. Bai Lian had always been extraordinary in appearance, and in this past year she had changed even more, with her reserved and self-sufficient air becoming more apparent. Songmin, who had been looking at his app, finally looked up, his gaze falling upon Bai Lian. Bai Lian paused at the entrance of the elevator, looking up, her gaze sweeping past Songmin and Bai Shayaki. Then she stood to the right with Jiangyin, leaving a large gap in the middle. She took out her phone, looking down, and sent a message to Dean Jiangyin saying she had arrived. She didn't look at Bai Shayaki or Songmin again. "Birdie, you really need to drink more milk," Pu Xiaohan said while standing next to the buttons, patting Jiangyi's head with a tone of earnest concern. Jiangyin looked down, poking at his watch, and sent a bunch of commas to Jiang Fulei. Pu Xiaohan didn't notice the atmosphere between Bai Lian and the others, and turned to ask Bai Lian, "What floor are you going to, Sister Lian?" "3rd floor." Bai Lian leaned against the elevator wall, unfolding her fan, and spoke casually. As soon as these words came out, the other 3 in the elevator couldn't help but look over, especially the girl who had just been giving a rundown to Bai Shayaki. Pu Xiaohan noticed the "no stopping" sign for the 3rd floor, but pressed the button as Bai Lian had said 3rd floor. After their last parting in Jiangyin, Bai Shayaki and Songmin had not seen Bai Lian again. They had thought Bai Lian might return to the Bai family, that they would encounter her there, or perhaps at Jiangyin University, any place but the building of Jiangyin Music Academy. Jai Mulin had tried to develop Bai Lian comprehensively, making her pick up a sketching pencil from the age of 3, but later, when she showed no talent, Jai Mulin tried to get her to learn the piano, painting. It took some effort for them to adjust their mindset, deliberately forgetting about the college entrance examination. Yet, they had not anticipated seeing Bai Lian without any preparation. Sister," the girl beside Bai Shayaki didn't dare to speak to Bai Lian, so she conversed with Pu Xiaohan, "Are you going to the 3rd floor?" As the elevator doors closed, Pu Xiaohan let go of her hand and smiled at her. "Yes." "Great one," the girl put her hands together. "What is your major?" She was asking about the instrument. Pu Xiaohan's thought process was crystal clear. Direction. The girl listened to these 2 characters and even doubted her own knowledge for not having heard of the direction instrument, never suspecting Pu Xiaohan wasn't a student of Jiangyin. "Huh!" Ding! The 3rd floor arrived, the elevator slowly came to a stop, and the doors opened. Reacting to the moment, the girl and the trio of Bai Shaoqi and Song Min only then saw a corner of the third floor, facing a white wall where two faded ink wash landscape paintings were displayed behind glass. In the middle, there was a model of a gazhang. It was serene and refined. Old Hu stood at the elevator entrance and, seeing Bai Lian, raised a smile. Bai student. Mr. Hu. Bai Lian walked out. Bai, Pu Xiaohan had never met Old Hu, and after saying farewell to the girl, followed Bai Lian out. As the elevator doors closed again, the girl turned around, excitedly saying to Bai Shaoqi, "This is the legendary Shaman Building recording studio. And did you see those two paintings outside? Those are the authentic works of our Gazhang department's founding master, Qin Jiu." This building was not frequented by many on ordinary days, and the girl was fortunate to attend the master class during the summer break, naturally having some family resources. However, she had never entered the third floor. She had only seen countless photos of the two paintings on the Jiangyin forum. This was her first time seeing them with her own eyes. Originally expecting Bai Shaoqi to discuss the big shots on the third floor with her as usual, she didn't expect Bai Shaoqi and Song Min to remain silent. Bai Shaoqi's gaze was hollow, directed towards the elevator doors. Her eyes had no fixed point. The third floor. Why could Bai Lian go in? The third floor. Pu Xiaohan was looking at those two landscape paintings, very freehand in style. One was a bird's eye view of a fortress tower, the other a pavilion amidst green mountains. There was no inscribed poem, nor any signatures. Qin Jiu's painting skills were not particularly good, but they were well preserved. These early works of his were placed on the third floor by Jiangyin. Pu Xiaohan knew of Qin Jiu, but she had only just learned that he also had two paintings. Dean Jian and Zhao Jiangxin were outside doing the sound mixing. Having just finished a section, Yan Lu was listening to the playback through her headphones. As she looked at the paintings, Bai Lian and Old Hu stood to the side waiting for her. Once Pu Xiaohan had finished looking, Old Hu led them to the vocal recording studio. When they arrived at the recording studio, Yan Lu was singing into the microphone with black headphones on inside the room, visible through the glass, standing in front of the mic with eyes slightly shut, her profile radiant. Dean Jian and Zhao Jiangxin were outside doing the sound mixing. Having just finished a section, Yan Lu was listening to the playback through her headphones. Dean Jian raised his hand to greet Pu Xiaohan and then spoke to Bai Lian. He held a black pen in his right hand, casually sketching a segment on the notebook. "You'll need to re-record this part later." Bai Lian glanced at it and nodded. "Have you had any new song ideas lately?" Dean Jian closed the notebook. To Dean Jian, ensuring Yan Lu's new songs were in progress was more vital than anything. "It's coming along," said Bai Lian, although she hadn't really done much. Once they finished speaking, Pu Xiaohan held up her phone. "Dean Jian, can I post this?" Dean Jian looked at it. It was a photo of the two paintings at the elevator entrance. "Sure, post it quickly. You haven't posted a video for over half a month now." Because the third floor was not open to the general public, there were few images of the paintings available. The last time Pu Xiaohan posted a video was the last time. Her posting frequency was low, yet each video was around 10 minutes of high-quality content, the last being a 4-month detailed traditional-style graduation photo shoot, all major works. The audience was left wanting more. Dean Jian was among them, though he always urged her in person. "Soon," Pu Xiaohan learned quickly. Jian put the notebook aside on the adjacent stand and suddenly remembered something. "Do you want to shoot some Jiangyin content?" "Jiangyin." Pu Xiaohan paused. The moment she saw those two paintings coming out of the elevator, a special idea had occurred to her. The two were talking. Old Hu, who had just handed a bottle of milk to the only child on set, trembled at his hand. He could understand Bai Lian, after all. He had guessed Bai Lian's identity back then. But who was the girl that called Jian Zhangyu, Grandpa Jian, as soon as they met? He unconsciously tightened his grip on the milk bottle, watching Pu Xiaohan's retreating figure. Pu Xiaohan was pondering the possibilities for a new video when she turned around to see Old Hu and Jiang He each holding the top and the bottom half of a milk carton. She was puzzled. Was this a gesture of giving or not? Following Pu Xiaohan's gaze, old Hu realized he was still holding the milk and quickly let go. "Kid, you drink." Bai Lian and Yan Lu also hadn't seen each other in a long while. After recording, they ate lunch at a private restaurant next to Jiangyin. Yan Lu could be recognized on the streets at any time now, making it less convenient for her to get around. Xinji didn't disturb the small gathering, waiting outside for Yan Lu to finish eating. When they came out, Xinji greeted Bai Lian and the others before driving Yan Lu back to the hotel. Yan Lu had to attend a gala that evening and was in a rush to get there. "I just finalized the plans with the company," Xinji said from the driver's seat, telling Yan Lu about the recent arrangements. "These songs have been included in the Gambling with Liquor album and submitted for the Huec Award." This year, Yan Lu's success in both television dramas and music meant the company would not let slip this popularity. Yan Lu took off her mask and fisherman's hat and picked up the script in the car, looking up upon hearing this. "But these songs have all been released separately." The number of songs was barely enough to meet the requirements. "Yes, but the organizer personally called me," Xinji sighed. "The music scene has declined in recent years, and the Huec Award has lost much of its impact. You are their special invitee." The entire music industry was in decline, no longer showcasing the battles between legends. Bai Jian's sudden descent into the music industry had captured the attention of musicians who dedicated their lives to music. Bai Jian had no company, no marketing, and not even past works. It was as if he appeared out of nowhere just for Yan Lu. He sparked an unprecedented trend in the music industry. After being quiet for so long, the music industry was bustling with activity again. From Gambling with Liquor to Another Autumn to Cold Season Tassels and the latest Reunion. Each song had a unique style, coupled with Dean Jian's magical arrangements. Not to mention the best lyrics, best composition, best arrangement, and so on. The song of the year, aside from Cold Season Tassels, which dominated foreign charts for 2 months, couldn't possibly be any other. Shanghai Apartment 302. Jiang Fulai rarely took an afternoon nap, and by the time he woke up, dusk had fallen. Dressed in soft pajamas, he drew back the curtains. The room was unlit and dim, casting a shadow over everything inside. Outside, the complex was extremely quiet. Because it was summer break, hardly any people were visible. His fine, black hair was tousled messily across his forehead. The room was empty, the world outside was hazy, and the silence was deep. Jiang Fulai was uncharacteristically relaxed, leaning against the window, exuding a sense of nobility yet aloofness, watching as the streetlights in the complex began to turn on. About 2 minutes later, he reached for the cell phone on the bedside table, opening WeChat to ask if Bai Lian had returned, while simultaneously opening the door to the room. As the door opened, the chandelier light poured over him. In the living room, Jiang sat on the carpet, engrossed in a jigsaw puzzle. Bai Lian sat cross-legged beside him, passing him the puzzle pieces he needed. Her white skirt spread across the carpet, blooming with colorful poppies. Her right wrist was casually placed on her knee, the knee supporting a book, while her left hand casually tossed puzzle pieces to Jiang. Under the chandelier light, she seemed enveloped in a diffused glow, exuding an air of leisurely grace. It was a portrait of peaceful times. When Bai Lian looked up and saw Jiang Fulai standing at the doorway, she leisurely turned a page. "Awake!" "Yeah." Jiang Fulai walked over to them, kneeling beside her, elegant and noble, looking down at the book she was reading. "Why didn't you call me when you got back?" It was rare for Bai Lian to not be looking at literature. She was reading the original Don Quixote, which she had borrowed from Jiang University's library. "You rarely sleep this long." "These last few days have indeed been busy," Jiang Fulai spoke.